Rise on High Tower event reading. Story for no apparent reason. Realm of the Never-Setting Sun, the Nile Governor General's District, Old Capital Palace. That's a word and a half. The Nile Delta built a prosperous, wealthy, and a peaceful region. In this place, the new capital of Cairo, the old capital of Memphis, echoed each other, much like two different perils on the same ground. In contrast to Cairo, which had undergone modernization, the rich cultural heritage of this land was still present everywhere in Memphis. Take, for example, the giant galley with 1,000-year history, still silently moored in its waters. At its bow, a golden winged lion sculpture was hoisted high, signifying the equally lofty standing of its owner. Miss Governor, your tea is ready. It's rather hot today, so please be mindful of heat strokes. On the balcony of the palace in the old capital, the governor of the Nile looked out across her territory, accompanied by her pet and royal maid, and which is which, not sure. It's not that hot. In fact, it's a perfect day to sail. Instantly, are the preparations in order? Adjustments to the mesechet were made last night. The manager said that it is in peak condition and ready to sail at a moment's notice. Please be on the lookout for smaller ships in the river. The final supplies are being loaded onto the mesechet as we speak. Everything should be ready by lunchtime. Slower than I prefer. Peace makes men grow weak. Oi, Cleopatra, the tea. My apologies. I'll tidy it up at once. The royal maid was so focused on answering the governor's question that she didn't notice that she was still pouring the tea. On to the governor. After a brief but chaotic episode, the maid finally managed to get the expanding mess of spilled tea, broken plates, and the stained carpets under control. The pet lion lying nearby took a passing glance at her before going back to sleep, as if accustomed to this sight. And to think I took you in for a level-headed, capable maid at first glance. Little did I know how clumsy you could be. I cannot fathom why the royal maids assigned you to me. No matter, you cleaned up, and that's sufficient. Sit down and rest. Ha 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 ha. My sincere apologies, Miss Governor. However, with all due respect, it won't be so easy to move forward with many of your plans if I hadn't been here. Be that as it may, this mission has the approval of both houses. It's evident that they took advantage of the fact that you weren't present. I can simply refuse, nobody can force me. But I have reason to go. While our nation's radiance covers every corner of the world, the enfeebling that comes with the peace is also spreading across the world. Furthermore, I did not create an artificial singularity only for it to gather dust. An opportunity such as this to explore without being prodded from behind is exactly what I've been wishing for. I doubt that. Now come to think of it, I should be thanking you, Cleopatra, for picking and choosing the information to give them. You're welcome. Your district is also our district, Governor, and such, this is just a part of my job. For a moment, the royal maid assumes a capable and calm exterior, as though she's become someone else entirely. Soon, though, she realizes that she has been pouring tea for a long time again. Oh dear, I'm truly sorry. I'll clean it up at once. Forget it, just replace the carpet later. Makes sense. Very well, I will buy a new one. Who's that by Riverside? Trafalgar. Yes, that's Trafalgar. She should be at the station, making preparations. What is she doing over there? Perhaps she's expressing an interest in our solar bark. Or perhaps she's taking a piss. We always kept her away from our artificial singularity facility, so she may view this voyage with the misget at a rare opportunity. Shall I politely ask her to leave? No need, she is a representative of the Royal Knights and the Mediterranean fleet and has come to support me. I am grateful to her. She will board the Mesectet sooner or later, regardless. Just don't let her close to the lighthouse. If I may, I've been wondering about something for a while. While I do understand the reason behind naming the Singularity's fixed module Miracle Recreation Lighthouse of Alexandria, as it has a nice meaning, is there a particular reason why the separation module was called Mesectet? It seems a little inauspicious to give the name of a ship to that the ship that living people take. And it is precisely why it's called that. We'll ride the ship through the Singularity and explore the vast and unknown new world. Although there will be hardships, the journey is eternally splendorous and grand. Carrying hope and living for the journey to death, isn't that Mesectet in a nutshell? And thus I issued the order to commence an expedition. Could this be a ploy? Is it possible, but I care not. My power over the Nile territory is unrivaled and uncontested. My technological prowess that brought the Mesectet into being is also unparalleled. Does it make sense to go on a journey beyond the home? Our world is a small one. We are traveling a tiny planet. The possibilities of the worlds out there are endlessly vast. The tide of the new age begins to rise. At its foremost shall I be lion, rawr. Title screen. Unknown location. Came a lot. Coordinate points. A faint tremble suddenly shook the dark emptiness. Under the cover of their new stealth system came a lot carrying Elizabeth, and her entourage appeared in the air above the great ocean where the coordinates pointed to. Your Majesty, this island appears to be rather dangerous. Having put came a lot into his passive stealth mode, Elizabeth Meta started the Queen's Light and led her team to a nearby island. The sky overhead had a faint ashen tinge to it, as though it was covered by smoke that would not dissipate. Setting foot on the island, they saw the aftermath of a battle all over the place. Air temperature low, humidity also low. My desire to read this apparently also low. I don't see any negative vegetation. Like myself. Buildings appear to be having destroyed a while back, no sign of plant life or even insects in the ruins or... There's nothing here but deadly silence. Feels foreboding. There is nothing on the radar either. I believe that we first We first of all need to find the continent. Any continent, a few islands alone cannot provide us with sufficient grasp of the basic situation of this world. She's right, shall we leave already? Hold on, Elizabeth, says another Elizabeth. We've found something. Trademark, copyright mark, and all the other marks. We ran a high altitude scan with the trains at board, equipment before exiting. There's a train apparently. And the scan just yielded something. Trademark, copyright mark, and the other marks. Care to guess what? Surely not the entire world is the same as this island, is it? From the point of view of civilization, yes, it's much like this island. I don't even see an island. Naturally, it's a different story if you include the signals from sirens. Sounds like they engaged the reset 2030. Are we too late? Yes, we are. The siren signals are far too weak for it to have been a reset. The signals themselves are quite unusual, possibly indicating they originate from modified siren equipment. Whatever the case, those are the results of your analysis. Any second opinions? It doesn't look like a reset. Everything has been clearly swept away. The sirens won't be so wasteful. Yeah, I think so too. That's another third person apparently. The signals are quite idiosyncratic. They differ from what we've recorded every other siren experimentation division that we've engaged previously. No, rather, perhaps they appear similarly to the patterns of the basilicas and the Kerguelens. I'm afraid I cannot help more than that. Abel's analysis is on point. The signals have been tampered with. It wasn't the orthodoxy, though. The Royal Navy did it. Your Majesty, I think the signals are coming from the command center of a mass-produced siren force. The tampering method is the same as our world once used. Then it is possible that this world has fared a similar fate to that of Grenville's. Could this absence of human signals be due to the mass adoption of siren technology? That is a possibility. We're sure to discovering something if we search the area where the signals are densest. Phew, that's good news at least. Unfortunately, I have bad news to share. This is a sample I collected from the wreckage in the city ruins. Please have a look. Doesn't look like anything I can think of anyway. That the other matter returned from her excursion, took out an analyzer, guess out of where, and presented this small debris floating inside. It was white and almost resembled some sort of chunk of flesh, yet it also had a luster like marble. Attached to the top of the chunk of flesh was a machine made with an unidentified material. In spite of having sustained devastating damage, the debris still blinked with a blue light. The coloring looks something like something I've heard before. Could it be part of those extra dimensionals that my servant spoke of? I'm afraid this is difficult to determine. I've never seen a sample from these extra dimensionals, you see. But I took out my analyzer from you know where, and apparently these things are what they are. However, based on what I see, I can all but confirm that this is previously part of some enormous creature. Although only a low level of corruption have affected the metallic part, the organic part exhibits the typical traits of subjugative corrosion. I don't know anymore. Where it came from an extra dimensional note, I advise exercising caution. We could only decode the siren part of the distress signal, so I was sure we were merely dealing with one of the siren's experimentation divisions. It seems this will be a lot more troublesome than I'd anticipated. Unknown location, missing stats, fixed position. A dazzling light painted the black sky, and apparently it's the same picture. The missing stat has arrived at a destination, a vast ocean, in a literally flashy manner, partly a result of technological limitation and partly deliberate design decision. Ha 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 ha. We've done it to the new world, we have come. This day will go down in history, I dare say it's the landmark moment that will forever symbolize this era. Cleopatra, I trust you've recorded my glory for the history books. Of course, Miss Governor, I did not miss a thing. All the turbulence from before made me think the ship would break apart. We're fortunate that nothing bad happened. That Wemerkay peril is surely proof that we're blessed by God. Should you need as further evidence, look no further than our impending success of mission ahead. I smell the new world air, and it smells like after someone has used restroom. It's very, very, why is it so hard to breathe? The air and the color in the sky were reminded me of the capital city. That's another person talking. Stop it, I don't want to remember those days. I already miss life by the Nile. It's strange. We're far away from the land, so how come the air quality be this poor? Miss Governor, something is deeply wrong in this world. Of course, I'd be more concerned if there wasn't cough, cough, cough. Cleopatra confirms the Mesectet air filtration system status. Why is our air impure? Beans on toast. Understood. It doesn't seem to be malfunctioning, it's more like it just isn't doing anything. Since there's a problem with its automated start, forget it, we can troubleshoot later. For now, start it manually. Yes, Miss Governor, ahem. Yes, this world has problems, otherwise they wouldn't have sought help from another. We may not be the only one responsive to this distress signal. Our first order of business is to establish contact with this World Royal Navy and establish an alliance before any other faction can. Ba-bang! A violent impact beneath the water surface echoed through the silent eye. Something had struck our underwater shield. Find out what it was at once. Oh, it's time for my security pup to put in work. And gallantly she has a ship on the leash. And it looks strange. I don't hate it though. Go check things out underwater, security pup. Upon glance order, a mechanical dog dove into the water. Though it was the part of her rigging, it could be remotely controlled through her thoughts. Despite being a practical application of technology developed for the control of carrier-based aircraft, unfortunately the time and effort put into said application did not return promising results. As such, the implementation of this technology was limited to only a few shipgirls on an experimental basis. Glant was one of those lucky few. The reason for her selection was simple: she loved the technology, she had the energy necessary to pilot it. As the impacts repeated, Galant's security pup returned with a piece of the attacker. When it landed on the deck, the group ran over to it. Everyone, look at this. This is what my security pup brought back. It's a piece of meat. It's a muscular tissue with some blue metal affixed to it. It's an alien wiener. What could it be? An alien wiener? Is this part of a biological weapon? That biological weapon had a wiener. It's actually isn't that our muscular tissue. It's there are no blood vessels or striations either. I'd like to I'd like it motto a card jade. Card jade winner. Kind of gross, but with sort of divine beauty, perhaps. That's what she said. Trafalgar, have you seen anything like this in the Imperial Naval database? No. I can say with certainty that nothing in our database of silent biological weapons matches this. Then it must be something else. I like this lesson less by any moment, we need to identify it now. Deploy the Mesectet's wings, evacuate from the sea at once. Through the combined power of cutting-edge siren tech, rigid shielding, prototype energy cube engines, anti-gravity technology, Mesectet spread its wings and took flight. However, even after its departure, the light did not fade. That was the light of miracle of recreation, lighthouse of Alexander, illuminating both the path forward and the way home. Not even a few minutes after the Mesectet had taken flight, the dead silent sea suddenly bubbled as if it was boiling. A blanket of debris rose to the surface, with bits and pieces colliding and piling into each other endlessly. Some mixed to form stable structures of sorts, creating islands that floated on the surface. A few of those existing spars that Lion's posse had believed to be islands were crushed and wiped off the surface of the ocean by the rising tide. Good thing we can fly. We could have ended up swallowed by that debris. The expedition was engulfed by a sea of garbage shortly after the arrival, never to be seen again. That's what she said. Imagine if that were the history. Imagine if that were what the history book said. We'd be the biggest laughingstock in the realm's history. And I agree. Don't worry about that. If we did all die just now, there would be nobody left to tell them what happened. Which also makes sense. That didn't really make me feel better. Thanks for trying though. Same. We've been flying for more than half an hour now, but we still haven't gotten past the wreckage yet. It's debris as far as the eye can see. I've never seen anything like it, even during the war with the sirens. But at least we sorted it all out and recycled it. Right, if it's being neglected and allowed to pile up for this long, then it's no wonder this world environment is in such a poor condition. I don't think that's what she meant. What matters is why so much sunken debris will rise up to the surface without reason, right? Isn't it stirred up by a giant sea monster with tentacles? Ugh. Now isn't the time to get scared of your Nile legends. But the debris that you fished up resembled biological matter, did it not? Yes, it was a jade marble wiener with blue light on it. Even then, it's just not possible. I'd believe it more if it were some kind of giant underwater machine, maybe. Should we not just go down and investigate for ourselves? Very bad idea. My security pub can't go that deep, besides, we'll totally get crushed if we go in there. While they talked about the joys of flight and argued over the rising tide, Lion and Trafalgar discussed something graver. Like the gravy and whatnot. Miss Governor, as you may have noticed, the debris is remarkably varied, and though the rust levels differ, I believe all of it is old. No aquatic flora or fauna rose with the debris either. One side of war may have used the poisonous weapon that killed everything underwater, along with their enemy. How long will it take to exterminate all life in the ocean? 10 years? 20? 50? The distress signal we received made it clear that a conflict was ongoing. Knowing what we know now, either they greatly overestimated their enemy, or it may be the result of their particular space-time hypothesis. You reeled an entire lighthouse You flail around the lighthouse of Alexandria, if that's what you call your thing, so you must understand. As in time flows differently here, we'll have to find locals and ask them about the situation. Yes. Agreed, we're still in a vast ocean, so our first priority is to find actual land that exists. The skies are graying in all directions as if someone put a filter on them. We won't be able to navigate using the stars. Miss Governor, does the Mystic Tet have any cutting-edge geolocation equipment that can help us? We do have radars with strong science features, but if we ascend to a high enough altitude, then scanning a continent may be feasible. Using it will draw worldwide attention to us, though. It will cause more of a commotion than when we first arrived. Given the current mess we already face, I mean to avoid using it unless absolutely necessary. For now, let's find clear sky, Stalker clear sky, and the stars will have to do for now. After confirming the presence of X.com subjugative corrosion line, Elizabeth Meta immediately ordered everyone back into the Queen's Light. The train rose through the air, leaving a small island behind. The situation is grave. The X.com-like wreckage has already appeared here, then this world may be far too gone. Elizabeth, change of plans. Yes, Elizabeth, even if their distress signal did come from survivors, there can't possibly be many left. I doubt we have any reason to establish a base or request aid at this point. Your Majesty, I don't understand. We came to help as soon as we received the distress signals. But why didn't we make it in time? No matter how poorly the battle was going, we should have found some place where things were okay. A flow of time is not equal between worlds, but we understand your question's patience. Is the essence of mutual observation between worlds. The flow of time in the one you cannot observe is both immeasurable and fundamentally meaningless. In other words, you can only measure and discuss the world you can observe. Your mistake is carrying a one-sided perspective into the second world. Your observations may now be based on the target world, and you can no longer perceive the source world. The flow of time back home is now impossible to know. When you return home to the source world, it might have been years, or it might have been a mere second. Consider it entirely random and thus unpredictable. We have avoided such a situation by using technology to observe two worlds simultaneously and adjusting the ratio of time flow. For example, came a lot and Tower of Midgard, built your world's Iron Blood, built by your world's Iron Blood, are two such machines. A main characteristic of such machine is that it must exist simultaneously both worlds. Fantastic. The Tower of Midgard doesn't move, but the upgraded came a lot can. It also has the power to conceal its own existence. Furthermore, as far as we know, the Tower of Midgard not only has the power to synchronize the flow of time between worlds, meanwhile the upgraded came a lot is able to make the time flow anywhere from half as fast to twice as fast in a localized area across both worlds. This relates to further application of literacy technologies that might be too complex for you to understand. I understand nothing. So what you say is the Royal Navy here doesn't have a device that can synchronize the time with us, and that's why this happened. Half correct. Now that we have Elizabeth here, says another Elizabeth, we have designed each other as partners for this process. We should have anticipated this. Once we help her build a basic synchronization device in this world, that device should be able to mutually stabilize time between us within a set geographic radius, avoiding extreme circumstances like the ones we face now. HMS must have been destroyed in the war. Indeed, some of this still eludes us, but that is the most logical conclusion given the information we have. We're generally a topographical map based on our scan results. It isn't finished yet, but we can speculate that we should be in this world's NIC. As for modifying siren signal. It came from the direction of the Royal Isles. Good news, more or less. Once the map is completed, shall we head directly to the LP port? Agreed. Many of the parts from the Mesictet experimental phase were a product of compromise, and not all of them could be said to be cutting-edge technology. Either their cruising speed was low, or the sea was just too big, but either way, it took a long while for the Mesictet to leave the rising tide effective range. All the while, the sky above them remained a hazy grey day and night. Lion had grown sick of waiting and ordered the ascent to higher altitude. That's when they finally sighted the edge of the island, the edge of land. And that jump scared me. Yay, land! Fantastic. Finally, once I return to the district, I'll need to recruit an aircraft carrier. Judging by its terrain, the line ahead of us appears to be the Isles of Wight. If so, the landmass beyond should be the Royal Islands. We have returned home, Miss Governor. Using the word home to describe this place feels wrong. Oh, wait a moment, we're flying towards the Isle of Wight, right? Despite that, I cannot see any kind of landmass beyond the isle. Where is Europa, or the Britannia Peninsula? Where has the Irish orthodoxy gone? Good question, it doesn't seem like we cannot observe them due to some fault on our end. Yes, unless the geography of this world's royal island seems completely adverse to us. That shouldn't be possible. The notion that the entire continent of Europa has disappeared is frankly too far-fetched. We must not jump to conclusions, let us make landfall before anything else. We do know that the distress signals came from the Royal Navy source. We'll find answers if we ask around. Boy. As the Mesictet descended, the ship's sirens began to blare warnings that the land on the island was emitting serious level of radiation. Fortunately, the onboard barrier generator was able to protect against it. The Mesictet landed and then established safe zone on the isle surface using its golden barrier. Cleopatra Trinidad, stay and watch the ship. I haven't seen the ship yet. Galant Trafalgar, you'll disembark with me. The barrier has a limited range, so don't go too far from the ship. The island was uninhabited and desolate, with ruins as far as the eye could see. The word wasteland summed it up perfectly. Although they identified the place as the Isles of Wight, it looked nothing like how they remembered it. What a horrific sight. One can presume there are no survivors. Although the wreckage have long since crumbled away, there is still no sign of nature, no plants, not even a single insect. Again about insects, you will eat the bugs. It's the same as the wreck we saw in the sea. Do you think it's linked to the radiation? We detected none in the wreckage. That's merely conjecture. First of all, we should collect samples and analyze them using the analyzer taken out from you know where. It's likely we'll be in this world for a while, so we need to gather as much information as possible. I got jump scared again by this noise. Miss Governor, if it's samples you want, why not start over here? The others looked at the glance pointing. There was a small hill there, rather a massive thing that assumed the shape of a hill. My god, is this the thing that the piece we retrieved came from? A giant thing is missing its jade blue wiener. Incredibly, it's less like a carcass and more like a mountain of white rock that resembles some giant creature mixed with metal shards. Is it an artificial life form or is it a machine? The game keeps jump scaring me. The security pub worked like the normal even outside the bay. It arrived at its destination, deployed its cutting implement. Then the earth began to quake and the grounds, and to the group's amazement the hill of mass started moving. Despite appearing to be made of marble, it extended several tentacles, much like a living creature. The metal shards that were initially brown and scattered then merged into one inside with the white giant, and began glowing with the blue light. Is that thing bringing itself back to life? That's it, I say. I will test how powerful it is. Baboom. Another jump scare. Trafalgar fired the volley at a tentacle extending forward. Her shell spilled through it and shattered it in the middle. I see it looks more threatening than it is. The attack seemed to stir something in an alien creature. It smelled like pufferfish, which doesn't smell very good, which made the earth quaking even more violent. Still moving, let me finish it. Wait, no matter how big the monster is, it can't possibly be causing this earthquake by itself. Good point. Cleopatra, report on our surroundings now. Miss Governor, there are hostiles all around us trying to revive themselves. Something is moving underwater too. Please retreat at once for your own safety. I knew it. A moment, please, Miss Governor. Our enemy isn't all that strong. It's worth engaging it at once. When an enemy appears on the horizon, it is the Royal Navy's duty to face it. No, there are too many of them. Have you in the Mediterranean fleet been getting influenced by the bloody Sardinians? Face reality. Listen to my orders, Cleopatra, prepare for takeoff. Galant Trafalgar, come to me, we retreat immediately. Royal Islands, Port of LD, Rose Tower, War Room. A noble girl sat by a radio equipment attentively according to this. Half a year had passed since she received a response, and she didn't know she still didn't know where her allies were. Despite that, she adjusted her previously set in stone plans to be able to receive guests at moment's notice. She split her daily communication time between morning and afternoon and added several new Intel receivers. She also cancelled her simulation, extended her live combat time, restarted multiple farm production lines, and gradually expanded the territory under her control. And Glorious Meta is apparently playing Hearts of Iron. Combat sectors 8 and 12 are still silent. All activity has completely ceased. No increase or decrease in points of interest. The Northumbria sector. Its reboot is over halfway complete and an initial patrol fleet has been informed. Production lines are up and running. No increase or decrease in point of interest. The Mercia sector is still advancing. I don't know which sector is which now. The Mercia sector is still advancing steadily. The patrol fleet launched 3 attacks this morning and successfully cleared 3 points of interest. All is normal in the control area, likewise for the production lines. The Essex, Sussex, Sussex, and East Anglia and Kent sectors are stable with 0 points of interest. All is normal in the control area, likewise for the production lines. The Wessex 6, huh? There are 3 new points of interest in the vicinity of the Isles of Wight. How could it be? Yesterday there was indication of beastly tide occurring. Gloucester, please tell the main fleet in the Wessex sector to head there at once and eliminate the hostiles. Edinburgh, please open the sluices in all waterways from the Thames to the Eastern. I need to see it for myself.
真面目な時なら私もじゃあしっかりご覧なさい。
That is fine, saying. The crew safely returned to the mess that thanks to the lion's quick thinking, the ship took in the air and everything seemed to have gone well. The giant white creatures, however, were not going to let the prey flee just like that. Swarms of flying creatures rose into the air and encircled the Mesictet like a swarm of locusts chipping away at the shield. This forced them to reroute energy to the shield generator just to keep it up, which reduced the already low speed even further. Miss Governor, we need to land in the water. We're sitting ducks in the air. At least in the water we can fight back. Stay calm, have faith in the realm's technology. Stay calm and грызи яблоко. The Mesictet has an emergency evacuation system. If worst comes to worst, we can still go home. Should it come to that, though, the new world's position I've earned for will meet an anticlimactic end. I would hate for that to happen. That's all the more reason for us to land. Then we can fight, and if we start losing, we can just retreat again. No, it's too risky. Ugh. No, you're sadly right. I can come back for another exposition, but I cannot come back from death. Cleopatra, calibrate the lighthouse, prepare a homeward beacon as well, and then, well... With a dazzling light, an opulent train manifested in mid-air. It flew toward the Mesictet at breakneck speed and used a tremendous firepower to rip apart all the enemies in its path. Therefore, that train is a pain train, and it's in the air. Reinforcements from the world's inhabitants, the darkest hour has just been... I didn't read that. That's quite a stunning train, Miss Governor. If that train ends up in deep water, I don't think we'll be able to help. Whatever happens, right now I seize them in taking out the enemies. So we are going to land, I presume. Like hell we will, they are airborne and still fighting valiantly. Stay in the air and pound the enemy to dust. Okay, more explosions. The main success in the train's competitors managed to bring down the significant number of airborne enemies. In line determined they gained enough breathing room, she contacted the shrine and they immediately answered. Beep beep, good evening. I'm Queen Elizabeth, one of the original proponents of the Eternal Sun project. This train is called the Queen's Light. We heard your distress signal and we are obliged by oath to come and assist. I'm glad there's still an active resistance there. What's your status? I'm Miss Governor. She says she's Elizabeth and claims to came from because of a nose. She seems to have mistaken us for the natives of the world. I wonder if this Eternal Sun project has anything to do with the distress signal in the name of the Eternal Sun. I think they are the real allies, or whoever sent the signal they got here before us, and their technology is much more advanced than ours. Miss Governor, what should we do? Hello, do you copy how strange it does say we're on the line? Moshi moshi. Miss Governor, please say something. Ahem, we hear you. Lady Elizabeth, is it? I'm Lion, I serve the realm of the never-ending sun. I'm the Governor of the Nile in my home world. Good to meet you, Leon. We only just arrived here, so we know nothing about your situation. I want all the information you have about this world, its Royal Navy's remaining forces, and the enemy. Did you just grunt? Is something the matter? Well, you see, we also came here after receiving a stress signal. We know almost nothing about the world just like you. In fact, we've been looking for someone from here who could explain things to us. The other end of the line went silent for a while before speaking up again. This is not what I'm expecting, what a confusing mess this is. There's more. You said your name was Queen Elizabeth. Why not? Did you not? This is my first time seeing you alive, I mean. Again, the other side fell silent. What an honor. Your world must have quite a complicated history. Ah, yes, the Queen is dead. We'll have to discuss it another time though, since we're both here for the same reason shall we team up. First, let's deal with the remains of these sayings. Then find the safe place to exchange information. Sounds good? Yes, it does sound good. Let us work together. Hang on. So you notice, it's a mass-produced fleet, it's approaching us from the northeast. What are those things in the air? Royal Navy aircraft. Could there be another force that received a distress signal? No, this time it's actual survivors from this world. Come on, then let's deal with this force, then go and meet them. More explosions. With their overpowering advantage, they encircle and annihilate the enemy. Silence returned to the chaotic sea. It's very late. I can't speak. Well, that was a gripping and grand victory. You, the beautiful lady, it was you who called for help, was it not? Using massacred equipment, line projected a hologram of herself into the air. She stood tall, a divine golden giant. Seeing this, the girl leading the fleet of mass-produced ships responded with a gracious bow. I'm Glorious, the flagship of the realm of never-ending sun. I welcome you, our allies. I have no doubt that after coming from such a distant world, you must have many questions. However, I think you'll agree that this place is not suited for reception. Let us first move to a safe location, then we may speak. Lane and Elizabeth and another Elizabeth acknowledged they took their airship and flying terrain and followed the lead to the aircraft of the Portal D. And more fighting, explosions. Lane Elizabeth and another Elizabeth parties probably went as they flew over the lifeless land below at home, twisted beyond recognition. Both sides happened to suggest landing on the Thames for now. After passing the fortified tower bridge, they stood before the most well-preserved place in the former capital, the Rose Tower. Glorious welcomes them with a ceremony. Elizabeth has hoped to question her about this world immediately, but everything she saw only added to her questions, so she restrained herself and waited for the ceremony to end. Knights led the procession, accompanied by maids. The banquet was a far cry from the luxury back home, but it did serve a sign of their host care. Finally, it came time for all the questions to be answered. Port of LD, Rostava Reception Hall. There were too few attendants to make use of the spacious reception hall, but the comings and goings of maids made up for the lack of activity. After accepting tea from Gloucester Line was the first to speak up. Glorious hospitality is appreciated, but I think it's time we get to business. Just us, none of your pawns. I'm sorry, I'm so accustomed to their presence that I hardly notice them. You're right though, it's odd, I admit my mistake. Glorious waved a hand and her busy maids and pawns all left the reception hall at once. The heavy door closed, empty silence hung over the hall. Allow me to apologize again, it's been so long since we had guests. So I've been stuck living in with spawns all this time, I'm sorry too, I should have guessed your circumstances. No, it's natural for you to have suspicion, and I was hesitant to show myself to you before, but that was wrong of me. What is she wearing? Yeah, the art is good. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I'll start. Glorious. What happened to this world? How long has it been since the distress signal was sent? As there survivors other than you, what are your military capabilities? You took the words right out of my mouth. I led a couple more questions. Where did the continent of Europa go? How did the Isle of Wight get so corrupted, and how do you know about the rising tide? Allow me to answer one at a time. As you no doubt noticed, civilization was destroyed by an extra-dimensional invasion. It's all gone. Extra-dimensional is that what you call those alien beings with jade blue withers. Yes, one day I awoke to find that very moon above our heads has become our enemy. The moon, yes. On the night of full moon, 137 years ago, an earth-shaking boom awoke me. I rushed outside into the balcony, and when I looked up, it was blue. A giant blue ball in the sky, and it began to rain blue meteors upon the world, also in the shape of balls. A meteor shower came from the moon. Why? I don't know. Scientists at the time theorized that something had happened to its core, causing unprecedented earthquakes. Those quakes sent flying debris into space, which was captured by a planet's gravity. Sounds less like a theory and more like a wild speculation to me. Perhaps, regardless, the situation made it difficult to probe into the cause. Along with the meteors, beings that the science called extra-dimensionals appeared. They came out of meteors and spread their forces at never-before-seen speeds. The first attack of our factions was easily repelled. After that, with Sirens 8, we built second and third lines of defense to protect the vital areas. You mean to say I fought along with Sirens? Yes, Sirens may have internal disagreements, but they've been quite friendly with us. Friendly. Is that strange? Forget it, keep talking. Well, this foreign threat convinced even the core in silence suddenly leads to unite. We managed to suppress the enemy for a time, but they were endless and had no sense of self-preservation. Gradually we were whittled down, and our second line fell. Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth sent distress signal after that. Our allies fell one after another, so I too did, and so too did the Siren elites, and in the end I was the only one left. The Rose Tower area remains under my control, and I can manage the creation of mass-produced sirens and pawns, but this is all the power that I know that all this world can muster. If things were going that badly, why did Jolon survive? Ever since the science used the last of their power to construct this tower, extra-dimensional activity has gradually decreased all over this world. Around the time it was completed, I still had companions left by. The war was long, and while the enemy had weakened, our numbers continued to fall. So I'm alone now. The extra-dimensionals no longer wield enough power to put an end to me. As for me, I'm sorry. You're a brave warrior who managed to outlast the war. That's all I need to know about that. Thank you. Regarding the radiation, the extra-dimensional radiation was one major reason that our defensive line fell so quickly. We didn't know how it worked. We had to rely on science purification machines, but even those couldn't fully purify it. I later learned that the radiation didn't exist within the extra-dimensionals, it was generated when they attacked. Therefore, as long as we could maintain shields in vital areas, the radiation would not be able to spread. As for the rising tide of debris, we called it the same thing when we first witnessed it. The debris came from many long years of war and continued to sink to the seafloor without ever being disposed of. We were already too short on personnel to investigate the cause before the first rising tide. We have two simple ideas regarding why. The first is that maybe there is a giant examination underwater, and that's its means of attack. Must be incredibly powerful if so. We came up with several ideas after that, but none seemed to hit the mark. We fought extraterrestrials for a long time, after all, and never have seen one so big. Did the Star Beast never appear? Star Beast? An enormous entity that hovers in the sky and shines like a star. Never seen anything like this, but if it does exist, then does that not imply the existence of the Abyssal Beast? This could be a huge discovery. Let's not treat wild speculation as fact that is a conspiracy theory, but what about your other theory? The other regarding the moon itself. Ever since the two dimensionals came alongside the meteor shower, the sky has always been covered by strange particles. You noticed that the sky was grey along the way here, I presume that's why. Those particles make it impossible to observe the sky or the moon. The outline of the sun only appears sparsely. I digress. The rising tide phenomenon is related to the moon after all. So I wonder if the moon directly causes it. That sounds more credible. I like this theory. What happened to Europa? The continents are in a more complicated situation. Nearly all coastal areas were destroyed during the war. The Sirens turned some into mere turbulence areas using obfuscation systems to make them impossible to observe from the outside. When you enter one, there is a possibility that you might never be able to leave. Do take care not to approach them. I see. Here I thought they had blown away the entire continents. That's all the questions I have. What about you, your majesties? Did we hear you right? The distress signal was sent about 130 years ago. Is Meta Elizabeth finally chimed in after remaining silent until this point? To be exact, 136 years, 3 months and 13 days. It took us less than a day after receiving the signal to rush here. Less than a day. Did our reply reach you? Yes, half a year ago now. We sent it an hour before our departure. How could this have happened? Are you aware that we helped this world Elizabeth build a time flow synchronization machine? Her Majesty's precious machines. I don't know anything about its functions, but I may know its current location. Can you take us there? Yes, it's in the 5th combat sector, being guarded by a fleet of mass-produced ships. That was the first area. Was that the first area taken by the enemy? Absolutely not. I remember now. It started malfunctioning immediately after the extra dimensionals appeared. I recall her doing everything she could to repair it. You mean it malfunctioned before she was sunk and not destroyed after? We must see it now. Take us. We're going with you. Okay, I'll take you there. Second combat sector, anti-air defense zone, Kevin's light force car. Queen Elizabeth met and another Queen Elizabeth and another Queen Elizabeth, and company took the Queen's light in order to reach their destination as soon as possible. Line group safely Cleopatra, who stayed behind to stand guard on the basic tent in the sky, also boarded the train. Glorious Meta was brought into the control car to lead the way, while all remaining members went to the fourth car to rest. What a pleasant train. It feels like being back home again. Using mobile space expansion technology for a train launch, how exorbitantly luxurious. It really is. Even on basic tent, we only use it in the area where all the critical equipment is concentrated. Ha, you haven't seen anything yet. This technology is but a small part of what makes up the mirror rails. That's incredible. Incidentally, there's something I've been meaning to ask you ever since we met. It may be rude, but I simply need to know. Go ahead, I've got the questions of my own. Well, means first question, are you really Queen Elizabeth? What kind of question is that? Your version of me may be gone, but surely you still have pictures of her. The only times you appear in the history books are as a name. Yup, I haven't seen illustrations of anything. I've been to so many test sites and this is the first I've heard of something like this. What do you mean? Does the world draw a difference between the concept of a warship and a human? Look around you. Could you not ask some basic questions? Well, you see, in a war, Queen Elizabeth sank in the fight against the Sirens not as a human but as a warship. As those Sirens were truly despicable. Indeed. So then the Sirens were enemies in your world and you fought them. Was that case in yours? More or less. And yet Gloria said that the Sirens were the allies in this world. How is that possible? It depends on the test site. To elaborate would require a long-winded explanation of what the Sirens truly are, so I won't. That's fine, we already defeated them anyway. You defeated them, interesting. So what became of your world? If I'm not there to lead you, I presume King George V took my place. No, King George V, the warship, was also sunk by the Sirens. Those bastards, excuse me, I should say my condolences. Then what happened? With neither me nor George around, I presume our parliament is in charge then. Correct. Our realm is run by the two houses of parliament. That being said, the two aren't as powerful as you think. Alright, let me make a guess. Introduce yourself as the governor of Zanal. Do you rule in a separatist manner? Ha ha ha, separatists, how libelous. How libelous. I will simply say that my authority is amply respected. Oh, I'm sure respected. What's your next question? That would be... Actually, wait, I'm curious about something. What became of Warspite and Valiant? What about Hood Illustrious and Vanguard? Or Duke of York and Prince of Wales? Also, who's your current head of royal mates? Who commands the Royal Knights? That's a lot that you're curious about. From my perspective, this is like looking at the world after I died, you must understand. Wales is the Royal Prime Minister, Hood is the Minister of the House of Lords, and the Vanguard is the Commander of Palace Guards. I'm surprised Vanguard's position stayed the same. Hearing about myself from a parallel world is a rather strange experience. Ha 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 ha, the kind of experience can only be get by leaving your home. Duke of York is the Governor General of the Maple Monarchy. Warspite is the Governor General of the Pacific Ocean, and Leostris is the Governor General of the Mediterranean Sea, as well as direct supervisor of Trafalgar. Governor Generals, I have considered that before. Seems you are the ones to implement it. Trafalgar works under Illustrious, does she? Is she a mission with you then? No, however, this mission was supported by both the Imperial Prime Minister and the Houses of Parliament. As the day that the exposition was voted on, I happened to be absent, and it was decided that I would be the one to lead it. It was also decided that the Imperial Century and the signing governors would provide the same certain amount of support. It sounds to me like they conspired against you. Had I been president, I personally would have volunteered for the task. I will go down in history for this grand expedition. I see you'll learn quite a lot of frame if it's successful. Precisely. By the way, Newcastle is the head of the Royal Mates, while Royal Coke is the commander of the Royal Knights. Finally, there is Valiant. She's the Governor General of the Terra Australis at the Solomon Islands. I heard she's pursuing a third Governor Generalship. Goodness gracious, sounds like her. What about Belle? Sunk by the Sirens as a warship. Thus, this is the first I'm seeing you Belfast. I had an inkling of that when you said that Newcastle holds my would-be position. Since Her Majesty is no longer with me, it makes sense that I am neither, for the sake of the Siren script. May I ask questions now? Of course, alright, were you both together with Elizabeth Meta? Are there two Elizabeths in your world? No, she comes from another test site. I can probably guess why you asked that question. Sadly, the answer is it's not possible. Unfortunate. What about other betas? You have enough of them for an entire fleet. They each have their own story, likely similar to that of Glorious. If you want to know more, you'll have to ask them yourself. I see. If the opportunity arises, I will. Ding ding, bang bang, boom boom. Attention, we're almost there. Get ready to disembark. What an eccentric announcer. You should change it to the Miss D Bloody Voice Pack. Forget it. Just think of some weird sound clips. Come on, let's get off. It's 10 out of 36. As the group disembarks the luxurious train, stepping back into the desolate world. The ground beneath them wasn't much different from what they'd seen so far, but up in the sky something new caught their eyes. It was a collection of pupa surrounded by winding sepal-like metallic structures, each of them silently hovered in the air as if suspended by invisible string. What are those? They don't appear to be extra-dimensional as glorious. Are they some weapon of yours? Not quite. They are what we call bulls of the full moon. They showed up around the same time the meteor shower long ago, and appear exclusively on the Royal Islands. They appear and disappear with no apparent regularity, and when it returns, there's always more of them. Initially there were just a handful, now I think there are around 300. We scanned them with the trains. Those sepal-like casings are likely a safety mechanism, and we have no idea what's inside them. Have you tried to destroy them? The Sirens tried and failed to destroy even a single one. However, the attempt did cause a devastating explosion that not only obliterated the Sirens' safety bunk but also flattened the entire anchorage of Scapa Flow. As you might accept, nobody dared to touch them after that. They fucked around and found out. Despite the intimidation appearance, they simply flew there doing nothing. Putting them aside. Over there is where the device is located. This is the fifth wireless communications laboratory. Glorious made a gesture towards the large building, not far from there. Wireless communication laboratory, that's a good cover name. Her Majesty perhaps thought it was amusing. Now that I think about it, one could say that I managed to make contact with you thanks to the kind of wireless communication. The laboratory is in a rather poor state of maintenance, so it would take a lot of work to search through it. For that reason, I mobilized some heavily obstacle clearing machines from a force nearby when we departed. But for better or for worse, the train got here so fast that the machines haven't had time to do their work. Please wait for them. When we departed... Wait, where is the Miss Ectiet? Line was sure she had an order to Bessictet to follow the train after departure, and yet it was nowhere to be seen now that she has arrived. It fell behind because it's just too slow. Don't panic, I see it on the onboard radar and it's fine, it will arrive sooner or later. Ah, so we got here quickly only to have a wait for the machines to finish. We can do more than just wait. We shall perform a scan on the outside. Elizabeth might activate the train scan and seeing the results. She made a gloomy expression. You look ill, Lady Elizabeth number 2. Have you discovered something unfortunate? Yes. We found the device in the laboratory, the ground section. The section is in good structural condition. Why, even some of the security systems are still operating. However, its two most important components are missing, the tracking indicator and the inaccuracy synchronizer. Missing did someone damage the device? Yes, and whoever did so knew exactly what they were doing. Those components were sealed inside the device when it was completed. Only its makers would be able to make them out without breaking the exterior. And yet the exterior is perfectly intact and the internals are gone. It's little wonder this world Elizabeth couldn't fix it. She couldn't have anticipated such a confounding issue. So the world's hope was destroyed by human hands. Who could have done this? Can locate the perpetrator. We shall try. In that instant, time stopped. Begin examination. All the surrounding expanded in different directions, forming countless overlapping images. Elizabeth met a punch. Hodge forward began looking at the exact moment the crucial change happened. Alright, there it is. Let us see who committed this horrific deed. Her examination continued, but looking around she saw only nothingness. What? Test Site Beta, Royal Navy, Gate of Avalon, Silver Mirror Lake. Four hours after the departure of Queen's Light, Helena Meta and Memphis Meta arrived at the Gate of Avalon on schedule. There they boarded the car to the train left behind by Elizabeth and dove into the Silver Mirror alongside D. The train door slowly opens amidst D's yelling at the announcement using her voice data. After Helena and Memphis exit first to confirm if it's safe, I walk out alongside Miss D and take my steps into mysterious whale. Assistant, look, it's my whale. It's big. That's what she said. As soon as we aligned, Miss D turns to me proudly. She acts as if she knows everything about the whale, but I know it's not true. Go play with that shadow, okay? I need to look around with the methods. Okay, let's go. Stalker, my assistant has important work to do. After coming down, I start surveying the surroundings. My first impression is that the whale's interior is that space of raw chaos. The space designed by Elizabeth as a safe place to search is approximately 300 meters in length and 200 meters in width. The highest point is nearly 2 meters high, but some spots only have 2 meters of vertical space. Most striking of all, though, is that all of the structures, the machines in here hang down from the ceiling. Any thoughts? First reaction is that it certainly wasn't made for human use. Clearly not. Is there anything else though? Any sense that you've seen before or any memories it might bring back? Not at all. Commander, I pulled up a part of the floor and found control panel. Can you try authenticating? You pulled up the floor. I did it safely after a sound structural analysis. I'll put it back when we're done, I promise. I follow her to the exposed control panel. Attempt. Nothing changes on the panel. My ANT system credentials have always come in handy when I need them, but this time they failed me. Sorry, Helena, I need to try other credentials. I've been trying to hack into the system since we arrived. I found one thing. When Devil sees this place, she added a bunch of things to the security. I'll have to remove them one by one. Elizabeth told me that the Devil has been trying to take total control of the whale. Does it mean that she left pitfalls to stop others from catching up while she's hacking it? Devilish, isn't it? Honestly, yes. Commander, I've uncovered another control panel. Can you try it again? Keep it up, Miss D is going to take notice. Delay digging around for now and wait for Helena to work her magic. Yes, Commander. Rumble. Did you hear that? It's like an earthquake. Gagah, it's bad. The whale's escaping again. Escaping, you say, is the whale is turning on. Yes, I turn on my whale, out with it. Something is terribly wrong. Yes, it is terribly wrong. Rumble. It struggles quickens if it desperately trying to set sail for new worlds. As it rumbles, helium embraces, even the Queen's light cars begin to blur as the whale tries to expel them. His goddess Memphis, stay by me. Protect the commander! Trust me, I was already planning to. The blue current rushes forward, a compiler appears equipped with her rigging. Orders received, protect the commander at all costs. Don't leave your position here until you hear from me. Commander, don't leave the compiler's side, I'm going to find you us up. The shaking intensifies further until the matters disappear. I can barely feel the presence of compiler and Miss D. With Big D. And then everything goes silent. The world turns to pure white. This is hard. Test site question mark Royal Navy 5th combat sector near target ruins. When Elizabeth Met began her examinations, the world underwent great change. The buds of the full moon, which typically only flickered out of existence, began to glow one after another. Extra dimensions that lay dormant across the world suddenly turned violent. Glorious received countless alerts from more than 20 combat sectors all at once. Everyone's situation is rapidly deteriorating. Extra-dimensional scholars have awakened. The likelihood of beastly ties has dramatically increased. It's too dangerous to remain here. We must return to the rest tower and plan countermeasures. A rapidly deteriorating, you say, it is related to Pupa, suddenly glowing. I can't be certain about anything yet, Your Majesty. We must ready the train for departure. Miss Elizabeth. Elizabeth Meta did not respond. This is bad, Your Majesty, she can't hear us. It was then that everyone noticed something off about her. Her eyes were closed tight, she didn't react to anyone's calls. This was as if she had fallen into a deep sleep while she's still standing. Even I never seen something like this. Sheffy, what's wrong with her? Her Majesty, in a very distant place, her consciousness may be temporarily absent. There must be a big secret behind the destruction of the synchronization device. Line Glorious, the other Elizabeth is busy examining the destruction of the device, so she won't be able to act for the time being. Let's split up into two groups. Sheffield leads the metas to protect this place until she completes her examination. Everyone else will board the missing lieutenant. Return to the Rose Tower. I trust you will allow us to board your governor. I'd be offended if you didn't. Leave you alone here, perhaps she could be transported to the missing lieutenant and brought back to the tower. You mustn't remove her. Do not worry, we'll keep her safe. Then I'll dispatch some pawns to protect her. Sounds like a plan. Chop chop, Cleopatra land the missing lieutenant. Yes, Mas Governor, descending now. Meanwhile, somewhere in the tower. Position indication jumped again, it must be magician. I should have kept watch here and had Memphis take vessel with her instead. If this is her doing, the commander's life shouldn't be in danger. Even still, that doesn't mean that there's no danger. That insane woman directly picking a fight with me. No, she activated the trap card the instant I left. The timing is too convenient. Devil may not seem I don't need the bell anymore thanks to her, but that doesn't mean she'll readily give it away to anyone who wants it. But magicians' direct interference will change things. I see. That's why Devil kept this. That's why Devil kept the inside the well under such scrutiny, unless it was in Elizabeth's hands. Is she working with Devil? Is she simply using her? I don't know. I've been blind. Magician isn't just after the well, she's after commander. But why? This is awful. I can't just lose nothing. I just hope this expedition can supplement the data missing from the tower's database. I need to passport information. We're almost halfway! Once the light fades, I find myself in a wasteland I've never seen before. The dark blue veil has turned the yellowish black and shrunk to about 2 meters in size. It floats a few centimeters above the ground, making it look like an amusement park ride for children. Yes, assistant, look, I can ride it. I can even fly around on it. My stalker's gone. The tip turned out pretty red. Whale is flying. Miss D gleefully rides the whale. She apparently sees the terrifying situation as a fun little trip. Meanwhile, compiler. You already built a command center. Your compiling speed is jaw-dropping. Compiler is doing the compiling, and it's compiler the compiling center. Now especially confirming information on our environs. According to the topological map, we're currently in the Vale of Glamorgan in southern Wales. Analysis of the land composition yield traces of fierce combat in the past, however there have been no major battles in the past 3 years. I've also detected a signal left by me by compiler. However, there is no mainframe or a similar vessel nearby. Hypothesis: this is a test site, but the experimentation division has been destroyed. You learned all of that just now. Impressive. Not especially. Continue situation analysis. Recommendation: go to nearby building to rest. No thank you, I need to work. Do as you please. Even through a conversation, she doesn't stop her analysis. A flock of micro-drones flies out of her rigging. Some go up in the sky, some dig into the ground, yet others fly towards the ocean. What are you doing? I'm only able to use local resources at the moment. Without my mainframe, my capacity is limited. Thus I am searching for repairable and dormant facilities in order to bolster my resources. If possible, I prefer to build a new mainframe as soon as possible. There, I found an integrated coastal military module nearby. It's worth of repair. Think of it as a modular base that has not been assembled. The face body is mass-produced module above in duct. We can construct a mass-produced escort fleet to defend ourselves. It's like you're born for war. I was, so yes. As for the means of travel, well, right by well, get on. No. Miss T, please form deaf ears as compiler transforms part of her rigging into a sort of hovering armored vehicle. Whale or truck. It's no whale, but the thing's pretty cool too. I want the truck. Wise decision, let us go. Elizabeth Meta wanders throughout the empty void. They fall into a trap. Someone activated the trap card. On the reverse. Or did the real perpetrator leave traces when destroying the device? Narrowing her eyes, she squinted at the nothingness and still saw nothing. Then she crashed into the earth like a meteorite. After that, she and the extra-dimensionals went on a rampage. They crushed the resistance of everyone in their path, the warships, the shipguards, and the sirens. The world was enveloped in deathly silence, and the space reverted into a void. This isn't it. Must focus harder. Must find the moment of the inaccuracy since her eyes had disappeared. One more time, she sharpened her focus, fixated on nothingness. In response, the nothingness began to assume a new appearance. It became the interior of a building with advanced technology. Light shone brightly as the air was abuzz with voices. There, we found it. Elisa walked through the crowds and the walls heading to the room where the synchronizer was stored. Then she saw somebody standing in front of the device. A spooky ghost. It was you who broke it. What in the world are you? Blasted, we need insight. A ruined vessel, the dimensions formed the horde as the birds of the full moon are squirming. The moon approached frighteningly fast. While Elizabeth Meta was asleep at the device, the team of Meta ship girls was the only thing holding the front line. Know your place. The voice from the higher dimension broke Elizabeth's concentration, making the world fall apart for an instant. Star Beast, what do we have to do with what we just saw? Go back. Who do you think you are giving us orders? Continue with the inside. The ruined vessel against the buzz of the full moon unfolded their sepals. Cities, as the hindrance Earth mountains rivers on the surface of the sepals reflected many landscapes. As each of the bodies owns artificial singularity. Did they activate the hundreds of singularities in the world all at the same time? Wait, what's this golden shine? Came a lot, the matter vampires here. Is that the other Elizabeth's world? And that wall with the radiant lighthouse, is that where the line is from? What is this? Does this connect to the worlds of all those who came from here? No, that cannot be true. The light of a firefly cannot compare to the radiance of the stars. Go back. The pressure from the higher dimensions pushed on her again. The situation demands it. We must see the rest. Must take a risk. Even a big firefly can pursue the light. Inside. The celestial relation counter-strikes were piled up beneath the paths of full moon. The horde of extra-dimensionals rushed incessantly towards the pupa, only to be torn to ribbons by the entrances of the singularities. The hands passed through singularities. There was no end in the horde, and their corpses kept piling. This shallow world was turning into a graveyard for beasts. I am the Star Beast. Shut up with you. Inside. At last, Wasteland had morphed into a world of corpses. Even the sea has turned white with their remains. Time passed and eventually something changed. A new adversary was born amid the wreckages. Aliens from the alien, blue and white version. With blue glowing jade wieners. It rose from the heap of three-dimensional corpses and changed a charge at the buzz of the new moon. This time it passed through in one piece. One by one, many scenes reflected in the buzz were reduced silent dead barons. What is that? It's a sort of new mimic entity. The mimic entity was born from the wreckages of the extra-dimensionals. Is it the future that awaits this world? Was it Was this phase still the moment that the synchronizer was destroyed? X.com? No, could it be? Inside. The world vanished in an instant into the void. Elizabeth could either think or feel her very past began to fade. She moved time station into eternity. Courses. Return to the Queen's light. Elizabeth suddenly collapsed during her examination. Your Majesty, what happened? You look dreadful. Forgive me, I should not have used that word. Get us out of here. Take the train to the Rose Tower. We arrived at the repairable and dormant facility that compiler spoke of. On the surface it looks like a coastal factory that was destroyed years ago. Compiler commanded her swarm of drones to pick apart the wreckage. After leveling the area, new sections began appearing one by one, coming together to form an expanded territory. First, she established a factory, then an airport and a regular port on either side, strong defenses, massive cannons, and many more buildings I can't name, including the ice cream shop, which is the most important bit. The factory got to work and started churning out small robots. They joined the swarm, taking apart the wreckages, built pipes expanding deep underground, and directed embankment, and formed rivers. Finally, she built a tall tower at the base's center, which rose above ground. The pipes are probably for planetary use of the tower, then should be used to control the Mirror Sea. I'm guessing she's going to use the Mirror Sea as a protective shield for her base. Well, my guess wasn't necessarily wrong. What happened next showed that I'd underestimated compiler. After the first control tower was complete, compiler built a second one. She encased the Mirror Sea inside another Mirror Sea. And it also added a nest consisting of micro-layer medley. In between the two, once that was done, she finally stopped and nodded faintly. Aye, Commander. I fortified the camouflage at our temporary base. Bear in mind practical access to resource supply. At computing resource, I launched Type 2 mass-produced lines and Type 2 enforced series production lines. This ensures basic combat capabilities. For now, we're safe. What's your goal here? To buy time or conquer the world? Glad you're so reliable. Thanks for the compliment. Most of my resources are currently going towards rebuilding my mainframe. Hang on. Even started rebuilding that. Its core will be operational in about 72 hours. It can be restarted at 10% of its original capacity. I have recovered some of the files about the test site from my surviving mainframe database, filtering down to the parts that should be interesting to you. Appreciate it. Did you find something? I did. The serial number of the test site is a serial number. Its destruction of the set as tested compiler was due to an attack by a horde of extra-dimensionals. Wait, a horde of extra-dimensionals. I surmise that they already possess the strength to finally take over the world. Other survivors. Yes, we detect the signs of a lost mass-produced patrol fleet unaffiliated with the Sirens. Must be resistant force. Can you pinpoint where the trails converge? No, I'm not yet able to perform a worldwide scan within my current sensor range, however. They converge upon the port of LD. What is LD? With this, if the dimensions are gathering into large groups, it's likely they are preparing a large-scale attack. Can you protect against it? As long as we do not attack first, they are physically unable to detect us. When will our connection with Helena go back online? Impossible to estimate. Then doesn't that put LD in serious danger? Most likely detecting several swarms approaching it, Fighting has already broken out at the outer periphery. Then we should go help them. My orders are to protect, not to help. I still want to help. If you receive a sudden help, we will wait for 72 hours. Even with only 10% of my original capacity, I'll be able to deploy more powerful weapons and create a path straight from here to LD. Is LD London? Probably. That's too long. The survivors might not hold out for that long, and even if they do, they'll suffer heavy losses in the process. We have to go to LD to rebuild the line of defense. The transport process is very risky and not recommended. What's that? You're not gonna listen to us, your assistant? Who do you think is in charge here? Assistant, if the albino fabricator here won't take you there, my will and I will do. I'll take you wherever you want to go. Albino fabricator. Yes, that's right. If you're going to do it, no matter what, fine. At least wait 2 hours though. I need that long to prepare the transport. Alright, thank you. No need, I'm only doing what I must. Lions group arrived at the Rose Tower with the massacre. Glorious ran straight to the war room and began commanding the counterattack across all combat sectors. It reminded Elizabeth Online alike that the Royal Navy of this world was completely different from the ones I knew. Factories hidden in the mountains, river after river dug out in the plains. By Jove. Who's Jove? There are even purposefully flooded sectors to speed up the mobilization of the Pound's mass-produced ship. They have torn the country to shreds. Even so, we keep fighting. Our glory would be tarnished if we let them run amok in our homeland. Miss Elizabeth, we spotted a large group of enemies in the direction of the 5th Wireless Communication Laboratory. I'm still unable to reach your meta counterpart. Shall I send reinforcement her way? I still can't reach her. Fear not, however, her escorts were the finest there are. It may seem like they're being pushed back, but they're simply being cautious out of a lack of information on the enemy. Send your forces to the sectors that need them the most. If we can help in any way, just say it. That's why we came here in the first place. I concur. Don't work on eggshells for our sake. Whilst the enemy is numerous, it is readily apparent that they are uncoordinated. If they're going to attack the Rose Tower, we may as well meet them outside. Understood? In all honesty, something odd is currently transpiring in the Whale sector, and I don't know what to do about it. The Royal Alliance are presently divided 12 combat sectors. Most of the forces are concentrated in the areas 1 through 6, the ones surrounding the Rose Tower. The Whale sector is number 9, and I'm frankly at a loss to handle the situation there. Say no more, we'll deal with it. Would you happen to know what's happening there? Shortly after the extra-dimensions appeared, I detected signs that a Silent Fleet had come back online in that area. Wait, a Silent Fleet? Didn't they completely vanish in this world for 100 years? Correct, however, I am not sure that it is them. I got footage of swarm drones repairing one of the former factories. My latest intel shows that they have formed the fleet and are currently cutting through a horde of extra-dimensionals. They've entered the flooded region through the Bristol Channel, and I believe they're heading towards the Rose Tower. If there is silence from the world, does that make them allies? Most likely, yes, since despite them having sighted my monitoring stations en route, they did not destroy them. Here, there are pictures that my hidden cameras took. Glorious brought up numerous photographs on the war room screen. Some of them contain nudes. Yes, those are sirens for sure. Judging by their make their mass producers and enforcers of type 2 variety. What's the... Is that a baby whale among them? It's adorable. Did you say a baby whale? Your Majesty, does it greatly resemble the stuffed whale that Miss D has? Also, while the pictures is rather blurry, isn't that the outline of Miss D herself riding the whale? What is the... This is bad news. Line, start them executed at once. Must go to support them immediately. First time I've seen you in this distress. Is the little whale acquaintance of yours, Lady Elizabeth? I'll explain on the way, there is no time to waste. Alright. And your restoration is the active combat zone. Are you sure you want to take the basic tit? I'll set it down in the water before we get there. If we're going to fight, we'll do it on our home turf. A wise decision. Keep water ready the ship, we'll set it off. Understood. Compiler transport plan proved a lot simpler than I anticipated. As it being after 2 hours of prepping at the best she could, she takes the shortest route to release the charging through enemies on the way. As expected or perhaps not expected, our fleet has ended up in a stalemate with an army of the extra dimensions in the Bristol Channel. Hey, albino fabricator, why have we not moved an inch after all that fighting? Do something about this. The enemy has grouped up, making them stronger than the sum of their parts. Calculating the relation between the side of force and the combat capabilities. Enemy is more numerous than predicted. We must slow down safely for safety's sake and wait for more production lines to come online. Then why are you building a fort here? It is necessary to preserve our momentum. It's too slow. Who knows when we're going to get there at this speed? Arrival within the next 72 hours is guaranteed. This is just as long as you said before. Negative. The previous 72-hour plan did not account for travel time. The current plan assures arrival within the next 72 hours. Ugh. Her going with a tactic like this is pretty consistent with her modus operandi. We can't afford to take our sweet time though. We need to come up with a plan. They may not be able to send support, but even intel on their waterways should be a godsend. A lot of fighting. Commander status update. The third force is approaching from the northeast. The northeast, there must be local resistance force. The Partisanen. For what I read in your files, the Sirens that stayed here had an alliance with the previous local powers. Is that correct? Yes, correct. Then it's possible they think we are their former allies who had come back to life, so they send reinforcements. I wasn't sure whether to reach out to them, guess they're making the first move now. Consistent, the golden lions flying in the air. Golden lions. What? Golden lions? I turn my gaze upwards, and I see no lions of any kind, only flying units engaged in combat. How did you see the lions? I don't know, I just know I saw them. It's fine if you can't see them. I'll go and call the lines over. Lion. Hey, big glowing lion with wings. Trinidad, is it just me or the whale down there charging at us? Looks like it. I think there's someone riding it though. The whale doesn't seem to have weapons. She'll hurt herself if she collides with us. Quick, we have to save her. Here I come. Careful. Hey, it's fine, I caught her. Ha, I flew like a bird. Oh, there is a whistleblower and a scorpion lady on the line. Hello. And what? What scorpion lady? That's you. Come on, you need to go see the assistant. The who? What are you talking about? After Miss D boarded the line like she'd wanted, I managed to get in touch with Elizabeth after the report the Vesic did. With a brief information exchange, and I learned the gist of this world. As one might expect though, I initially wasn't sure how to react. First, there is Lion and her team coming from a world where Elizabeth is no more. Then there is a miracle of me ending up in the same place as Elizabeth did. And how all these three groups mistook each other for the fighting force native to this world. Naturally, Elizabeth was quite shocked to learn about the world having shrunk and Compiler accompanying me. At any rate, Compiler built a defense line and bolstered her aerial forces, after which I boarded the Messic did with the rest and headed to the Rose Tower in the port of LD. As for Miss D, she apparently chose to ride the Flying Lion. I have to ask, what are those lions? Well, there's a secret weapon. Fantastic. They just must produce silent ships that she puts solid holograms over. Ahem. Just send one Luxig lions after her. She didn't seem very keen on flying, but I'd hate for her to pass on such an unforgettable experience. Now starts the engine. As you say. The Mythic says, soaring like vandy metal structure retreated, a curtain of orange light lifted as the next finally landed in the Rose Tower. I did not see a welcome party of pawns like Elizabeth described, no doubt due to this dire situation. The front glorious Meta offered her apologies for this. Naturally, Elizabeth and I both assured her that it was fine and she didn't have the leeway for the grand reception. On the way here, Elizabeth shared with me as much intel as she could compared to the little Compiler gathered. She broadly understood what calamity was taking place in the world. Some of it I'd seen in Rumi's world before. Extra-dimensionals attacked and the Sirens were destroyed. In this world, however, the Star Beast hadn't showed itself. Additionally, the extra-dimensionals in this world are much stronger than those of Rumi's world, and we learned while carrying out Compiler's plan. I speculate that the reason the Star Beast didn't show up was that the extra-dimensionals already present were enough to wipe out the Sirens. It never needed to appear. While examining the battlefield map in the war room, it hit me how the Royal Navy defined its sectors in an unusual way. The map didn't have a modern-day regions of the Royal Islands, but rather the ones from the Heptarchy period of its history. I asked Glorious about it and she explained with an awful smile. This way it makes the Rose Tower the heart of all the combat sectors. Indeed it does. The Rose Tower is the core of this world. She has been fighting like this for 100 years. She fought until she was the last one standing. But that isn't emblematic of her name. I don't know what is. Sometime later, Queen Light also landed at the Rose Tower carrying Elizabeth Beta. She had some rather concerning news to share. The buds of the Blue Moon are going to bloom one day, which would open tunnel to singularities connecting to countless worlds. X.com mimics beasts were born from the wreckages of extra dimensionals, and they will eventually push through the singularities and bring destruction to all those worlds. Two especially notable worlds are linked to those singularities: Test Site Beta and Lion's home world. However, the one who stole the Inaka synchronizer as well as the Star Beasts have yet to show themselves. Since Elizabeth exhausts herself by overusing her power, she'll have to stay on the train and rest for a while. It's all up to us now, we need to do something. The Horde of Extra Dimensions has the boots at whom it's likely they're waiting for the sepals to open. It's proving as the probe that the misleads of Meta said is true. I never would have thought there existed something even more terrifying than the Extra Dimensionals. Worse yet, these foul creatures will invade many of worlds through the buds, wreaking destruction on your homes as well. I'm truly sorry, I didn't anticipate that it would embroil you in the disaster. Do not worry, we are sworn allies. Nobody has said that the buds cannot be destroyed. We need barely destroy them all before it's too late. The collateral damage that stopped you from destroying them before no longer matters. In fact, it may help reduce the enemy numbers. How many buds are there across the royal lines? Can we even... Can we even be sure that this place is the only place where they exist? Back when I still had the contact with other countries, I verified that they had appeared nowhere else. For now, as for how many there are, there is no exact figure. I don't have many monitoring stations across sectors 8 through 12. However, based on current data, I estimate that there are somewhere over 400 of them in existence. Over hundreds. It's possible to destroy. Fusion is right under your nose. Why must we consider destroying all of them? Because each one of them connects to the whole world. Regardless, our power is limited. It's simply a fact that we cannot save everyone. You're right. But it doesn't matter. Whatever it takes, use it medic and you locate those two buds. Of course, I remember them vividly. We sorted the coordinates after we got back. Then we process sending them to you. Let's see, one of the southwest whales by the waters of the Vale of Glamorgan. The other is on the side of Isle of Wight, the Wessex sector. It's close to the location where you first arrived. Then I don't need to worry that much about the buds there. The sooner we deal with the reefs, the better. We should each dispose of the bud connected to our own world, yes. No, because it will make one of our teams significantly weaker. You'll struggle. Yes, you are correct. Ahahaha. Then you'll have to share some of your forces with us. Take my meta counterpart subordinates with you. I, my own subordinates, and compiler will accompany my servant here. No, your group shall go with Lions, but while me will go with the commander. We are the only ones able to pilot the Queen's Light. Going separately from us expands your selection of tactics. You're right, I overlooked that. Servant, you go with my meta counterpart. I will bring my followers along. The support line. Now we have two balanced teams. Fantastic. Ideally, we should bolster the Rose Tower defense as well. For all we know, the Star Beast might show up out of nowhere. Hunter, you stay behind. Hunter agrees. Much obliged. And Hunter Meta looks suspiciously like character from Bloodborne. And so we split into two groups. This will be my first time combining both sirens and metas at the same time. That sure sounds like a kind of lineup United Council fought X.com with. On account of its proximity to the road, type of Western sector has always been firmly under glorious control. Furthermore, since it's almost all the exhibitions are moving towards the paths of the new moons, the airspace between here and the Isles of Wight was comparatively clear. As this allows the line to pilot the music dead, that the Isle in the record time. Once we can disembark onto the sea, the ship goes assume the battle formation and occasionally enemy in direct combat. Once we're below the bat, we can set down the high-yield explosives that Elizabeth's meta supplies us with. I brought extra just to be safe, and asked Glorious to provide aerial support. One might call it a double insurance. I think her explosives should be more than sufficient. Knowing her, she probably already gave you more than needed. Better to be safe than sorry when so much is at stake. I also brought my own bombs for the purpose. I thought that I wasn't to blow up the mountain to make a base or some such. Instead, they'll be used to bring down a giant. We spent the major amounts of resources to construct just one singularity, and here our over 400 is just growing in the wild. And now I must destroy one of them with my own hands. That's everything I hold dear, vanish in heartbeat. Just yesterday I was sitting at the bank of Nile, looking forward to a new era. Today I'm caught in the battle to the death and incomprehensible, facing a crisis that involves the survival of my world. How they put it, it feels like a bizarre dream. The situation makes me want to tender my resignation. I have no idea how I will write a report on this. Think about writing a report at this time, you must utterly adore your job. My mind is a mess. The only way I can calm myself down is thinking about work. You seem like you're used to high-stakes situations such as this, Majesty. Care to share some nuggets of wisdom, me? Do you look like I'm taking this well? Perhaps I am. I've been through many life-or-death battles that I stopped counting. Everyone's life is different, so while I can't give you any advice on dealing with stress, I can share mindset. My home was a silent test site. It was also a prison we could not leave. Sure, a prison where I can be fed and clothed, but there was danger everywhere if you took a step outside. Even if a prison is comfortable, should be confident with living and dying by the whims of the warden. In our case, we eliminated the warden and gained some freedom for ourselves. That you did. Now we are going to let your world be destroyed by an unknown danger, like what happened to those reflected in the buds. It's dangerous outside the cage, we all knew that. But now we have freedom. And with freedom comes the right to choose. You can learn about your enemies, you can go stronger, you can explore the unknown, you can keep chasing after hope. One day you'll have gotten through the true danger, and then a glorious future won't seem like a pipe dream anymore. Do you know what I mean? A novel perspective. I think I can picture the outline of that report now. Glad could help. As for the stress signal we both received, what about it? The signal we received contains a message in the name of the Eternal Sun. What is the Eternal Sun? Is it a sort of code? Something like that. According to my other self, it's a plan to recruit allies from beyond worlds of our own, the Eternal Sun Project. Then I would like to formally request to join. I want to be part of the project. Do you mean as a representative of your country or in the capacity as the governor of the Nile? I'm not sure yet. That can be arranged. As to be honest, I actually have no plans of meddling with the affairs of your world. You are permitted to join Eternal Sun Project, alternatively we can form a temporary alliance. However, I ultimately do hope to establish a formal alliance with the entirety of your Royal Navy. You see what I'm driving at? Good things for alliance now. I want to ask something that's been waiting on me. You said you defeated the Science. Does that mean you destroyed all their mainframes? Like the one at the ice sheets in Antarctica. Just deal with it. Meanwhile, I like that the well-defended vessels at Atlantis team was passing through Wales and Cornwall had almost nothing in the way of the Allied forces stationed. Not only would fighting there would be extremely dangerous, but it also is impossible for a Queen's Light to cut right through to our installation. The silver lining was that we had more than enough firepower. The combined onslaught of the silence and methods was ruthless. The extra dimensions were forced to fall back. So after we reached the station below the bed. This was a lot easier when I fought alongside Iron Blood Resistance. I got here fast this time, good job. And you, Elizabeth, good job on you. Stop being a cheeky bariki. It's sorry. There's yet to be any sign of a bad opening, but anything could happen. Your mercy compiler has begun placing high-yield explosives. Are you really sure that the bombs will work? It's hard to tell how durable the inside is on the account of how well insulating the sample is. However, based on the destructive power of her weaponry in previous missions, we think it will be more than enough. You will also have backup plan of bombarding the part from the distance with the trained weapons. You need not worry. So much is on the line there, so I can't help but worry until it's been thoroughly destroyed. I stare at the bud, the full moon floating in the sky. All of a sudden the sepals opens and the bud begins to bloom. Its inside reveals a continuously changing place. Very next moment, Miss Deep Whale just suddenly grows rapidly in size from 5 to 50 meters. The whale leaps into the air, Miss D is still riding it, and it changes straight into the center of the bud. The world is vast, dark, without bounds. I feel as if I wait nothing as Miss D and I are sucked into it. What is the world? Where is Miss D? I frantically search my surroundings to find her floating alongside the shadow nearby. Wait, I'm floating too. It feels as if we're soaring through the void alongside the whale. My mind isn't being torn away from me or dissolving into the void, it's the whale protecting me. Whatever the case, where it's going right now. I try calling out to Miss D, but she doesn't react, as if she's in sleep. After an unknown stretch of time, stars finally begin to dot the empty blackness. Past bloom, various fragments pass by. Along them I see Fritz Rumi. His linear resistance fleet to take back lost homelands after repair of the preparation device to defeat the Star Beast. The enemy's formation is breaking, don't split up, drives them back. The others back connect to her world. Next is here Rafaela. After restoration of the Sardegna League, she holds personal exhibition in Florence. She paints space scenes of her dreams. Most conspicuous among it is a portrait of a girl wearing a black crown. Wanna know exclusive now before seeing things about Her Holiness Marco Polo? Come to my exhibition. I see this one goes to Rafaela's world. Images weave into another in an endlessly morphing dream. Oh, this isn't a dream. The whole reality of the all events happening right now in the worlds that these buds are connected to. If the bud blooms and the mimic entities and get to each world, then this is over. Over hands of buds, 400 worlds. I could split my forces into two groups and one to destroy the bud leading to Rumi's world, the other two referrals. But what comes next? Do we just wait and watch while every other world is destroyed? Every world has its own history, its own people, and its own future. I can't be complicit in this. But when will they bloom? Is there enough time? Are we strong enough? How many sacrifices are worth it? How many can we save? How many must we abandon? Which do we rescue? Which do we let die? I'm too powerless. Even with all the resources, power, and knowledge, it's nothing in the face of real crisis. Do I give up? I can't give up. This is all wrong. I have to do something about it. What? You two are... Beep beep. Moshi moshi motherfucker. Switching to real-time communication. What are you doing? Who's this? Hello, Dev. Why have you contacted me through Death's Breach? What's going on? Do you need me to come here? You're silent. Are you in a situation where you can't speak freely? Don't worry, when I'll come, I'll be there. That voice is familiar. Who is that? I have no idea who it is. Why did you push that button? Why did you screw this time, Hierophant? Now remember, it's her. It's Chariot 7. Suddenly, I find that I'm beneath the bud. Again, Miss D still in a tiny well, Kampal is still setting up the high-yield explosive, as if everything in the dark space never happened. Everything is quiet, nobody notices the thing, but I'm certain that everything that just happened was real. Did you just experience something uncanny? Huh? Elizabeth, did you see it too? Our level of insight has fallen for a time being due to our injuries. We only noticed some thanks to warning issued by Queen's Light. Now what did you see? Leave the experience aside and only state the conclusion for the time being. In short, what must we do? The two bats who are originally planned to destroy won't be enough. We need to destroy all of them, don't leave a single one intact. We were in the tip-top shape, this would be outright impossible. A combined efforts can only destroy more, yes, but still need to pick and choose. Don't worry, reinforcements are on the way. Reinforcements. Gah, assist Elizabeth, the bud is moving. What? As indicated, the sepals in the bud of full moon slowly open the horde and the distance begin to rise in unison. Now we don't have much time. Let's destroy this one as planned right away. When we return to Rose Tower, we'll have Lion's fleet meet up with us there. Things are changing by the second, we need to make a new plan. Later. The first test of the operation went smoothly. Our high-yield explosive had exploded the thing had to explode. Yes, everything successfully retreated to the tower. However, many other buds royal islands unfolded the sepals and bloom, creating singularities that connected to other worlds. The extra-dimensional horde washed upon the buds like the tidal wave before being ripped into shreds by them. It was exactly like Elizabeth Meta has seen. During this meeting, I tell Alice a bot need to destroy every single bot. I add that the arbiter named Chariot is on her way to this world and with the army of Ant. Destroying every bot in order to protect every world. You're ambitious. Lan, can't you seriously be considering? I haven't said yes yet. Commander, your goals are lofty, but you haven't convinced us all that they are feasible yet. Let me ask the questions before I'm satisfied. You've told us about the relation between the science and the Ant, as well as the experimentation division. But first, when is Chariot coming? Will she be here before me? Can't you disappear? Second, can we rely on her? Or is she going to kill us along with them? I don't know exactly when she'll be here, but we're using an emergency communication channel. Given the arbiter's usual quick action, she should get here on time. Regarding your second question, CX and the NTX always fight until one side is eradicated. Even if she did try to kill us too, she'd only do it once the X threat was all gone. We should have plenty of time to escape. I hear a lot of shoot. Lives are on the line here. If you cannot be sure yourself, I'm not convinced. Though I do like your courage, as a big gamble as it might be. If we win, we can save hundreds of worlds and be in relation with the Arbiter. If we lose, well, I'm happy to accept the fruit of victory, but I'm not interested in the burden of defeat. If things too bleak, my people and I will take a leave. Don't blame us for that. I won't. We are ready to retreat if necessary. I want to save as many people's worlds as I can. Good. Our only ray of hope is Chariot leading the army of ONTX, defeating all the X.com. What can we actually do? We can spread out the dimensional coasters as much as possible. If we draw their attention to disperse them across the wide area rather than piling the corpses near the buds of the full moon, we may delay their arrival. Even if the mimic entities do appear, we can buy time if they appear in the area of our choosing rather than near the buds. In that case, what if we draw them towards the Rose Tower itself? It's a symbol of the Royal Navy in this very world. As long as it stands, we will live on forever. Any Hatilis who encroach upon us, land or water, those who hope for our downfall. And if that be his desire, they must first destroy the Rose Tower. Symbol of Royal Navy. No way, this tower was this tower conceptual weapon all this time. Indeed. If I change it into conceptual, interception of the Horde is sure to target it. When they do, we can divide it into combat sectors and conquer them one by one. Not bad. We have a home field advantage by the tower, and fancy battle is the best place to take advantage of the compiler strengths. Let's go with the strategy. Then I change the tower mode, give me 3 hours if you please. This will be a final moment to rest before the battle without then. Relax as much as you can manage. As the Rose Tower enters charging mode, the walls and nearby buildings are gradually encased in light. Have temporarily left the front glorious, use the remaining time to host the tea party, hoping to socialize with other matters. Lion and Elizabeth went together to discuss the details of the alliance they didn't want to leave ambiguities at the end of the emergency. As for me, I went to Repulse Matter is now method to talk about the things that happened in the past. I should add that my intention with this wasn't to stop them from going to the tea party. It's just that Ripple's calmly murmured that she can sympathize with the girl, but at least she had tea to drink for the past 100 years. She didn't seem too keen on going to the party. I'm glad no one else had heard that line. So you wish to know what happened to World Alpha. As you may not know, everyone who left Alpha, including us, has more or less forgotten everything about that place, or rather, we have false memories. Furthermore, we're completely unaware of the issues until we realize it on our own. What this means is, frankly, even I am not sure how much of my memories are true. That being said, I do vividly remember the thing you want to know about. Fight until the last light has faded. That was indeed the order that the council gave us all the time. You may also know that there was no survivors from the Northern Parliament among the ashes. The reason for that is very simple. They all sank. And you call me driven by obsession, you should have a good look in the mirror. Project Dawn is the biggest obsession of them all. You think it's your ray of hope, you couldn't be more wrong. It's an express ticket to your downfall. Just being close to it brings misfortune. Do you know what happened to the people involved in this project? I can tell you. Don't answer, I'll tell you either way. Project Planner went out to the fleet to test the new experimental device, then poof. Thus the project was suspended and became an accessory to the separate project. And when that project started, our entire fleet, as well as the last merger, were all sacrificed, not a single survivor. Fight until the last light has faded. That's what they all said. They fought to their deaths and let someone else have the chance to live. This is what Project Dawn is. This is the obsession that's being passed down. Was there think related to Project Dawn? Why did those parents give up on the teaching? It was because someone had to protect the rural city to maintain the weather conditions required to retreat. The panel had always been the one pushing for Project Dawn. It was also the parliament that volunteered to perform the final undertaking. After finds until the last light has faded, order was issued. The parliament final, now Commandant Bell Hill, took his seat and set sail. This last thing I had witnessed with my own eyes, and it was the end of the Northern Parliament in World Alpha. Admiral? Hang on a moment. If it was the plan, however, we must ensure the German device remains operational as long as possible. In the meantime, others have to hold the line while evacuation is carried out. To other words, you already know this. We've taken upon ourselves to build upon this framework. The meeting is now adjourned. Unfortunately, our promise amendment did not pass the United Council. We'll continue our original plan. It's time to make a decision. That's it. It was him. This is so strange. I feel like the fog over my memory is lifted as soon as I remember his name. I can't quite remember how he looked though. But something else is coming back. Activating system. Connecting to command system. Admiral, are you pleased with the results of this collaboration? I had to look at the testing data. I must say I'm impressed. Collaboration with Dragon Emperor yielded Moon, the one with the Ironblood yielded Fortress, the one with the Royal Navy yielded Enlightenment. Now our motherland has created Scythe. This gives the War Protocol series a fourth unit. We can finally work to begin creating the Council of New Task Force. I really look forward to seeing their performance in battle. Scythe Moon Fortress Divine according Hierophant showed me. But who or what is Enlightenment? My throat is destroyed. The rose tower glow became brighter and brighter as the charging continued. The sky was illuminated faintly, providing a novel backdrop to the pre-battle tea time. The cannon fire and the other perimeters getting louder. Should really be sipping tea here while compiler is reacting to fences as fast as she can. The enemy will not come after us until the rose tower mode change is complete. Do not be alarmed, there's plenty of time. Precisely enjoy your tea while the temporary lull lasts. Alright. Excessive formality spoils the tea, so why don't we have a little chit chat? Sure, propose the topic. While you ladies already know my past, I don't know much about yours. I've never seen this many matters in one place either. Would you mind if I inquired about you? Not a bad topic. You know why you're nervous? It's because you've experienced something like this before, no? Did your world go through something similar to ours then? Many things were different, but yes, I did have some quiet time before my big battle. My home was the test site where we and the Sirens just kept killing each other. Well, to be fair, they were the first ones to propose peace and share their technology with us, then one day they suddenly snapped and turned hostile. For all the good times we had back then, we suffered doubtfully as hard afterwards. Our world wasn't reset, but the hell we went through was even worse. My friends and I survived thanks to her Majesty's leadership. She also brought what few survivors were left to safety. I decided to stay by her side after that and pledged my sword to her. We speculate that the experimentation division that well wanted to create a civilization with a certain degree of scientific ability, tear it down and cultivate a new from the ashes. That's why they didn't totally destroy it. It's also why Greenville and more others could be saved. All this time we believed the Sirens were unwavering allies. What an extreme story. There are all matters of experimentation divisions. Then they are but machines already following the orders they were given. In some worlds they're allies, in others they're invaders one must fight to the death against. What about the compilers who's hating us as we speak? Is she like that? She's a bit of an exception. Which is to say, she's an ally beyond any doubt. That's as if Airbus could share your history. My past wasn't much to talk about. I was wounded in brutal battle. In my despair I chose metamorphosis. Later HMS came and made me stable. I fought under her ever since. As my word, it fared better. Science were defeated before they completed their reset. Hunter, on the other hand, you were even luckier, weren't you? A sudden mention. Yes, my words was a bit unique. Having walked this path with Her Majesty for as long as I have, it's become apparent how absurdly lucky we were. Much like this place, we initially coexisted with the Sirens and got on well. That is, until X.com influence began to spread. The mimic entities popped up across the globe. In any of grace we would have either fought the entities and barely come on the top, or we would have been annihilated. However, almost as soon as the fight began, the Arbiter appeared. She justified the entities with us and completely expelled all of them from our world before they could propagate. The Arbiter then made the decision all the experiments on our world would end, the experimentation branch would be dissolved, and our very test site would be excluded from the anti-X.com database. This required worldwide cognition alteration, raising every last trace of X.com. And therefore, there was I had already seen the truth and could not choose ignorance. So the Arbiter brought me with her. I can remember not after that. Everything that happened after that, and which elevator it was that saved me, all of it gone. What I remember was wandering the wasteland I still followed by, meeting with Her Majesty and Miss D. Ever since that day, I fought by her side. That's quite a bizarre experience. It certainly seems like the elevators are more unknowable than the experimentation divisions are. They are self-alleged machines given complete personalities. It's little surprise they cannot be predicted. What about Sheffield? I heard your personnel are acquainted. Are you from the same world? While I do not share the world origin with them, I have known them for quite some time. Broadly speaking, we met shortly after leaving their home. Afterward, the three of us fought for a long time with the same decision until we got separated by a major operation. Following that, I met Her Majesty and decided that I would work with her. I apologize for the sparse details. I truly explain my past requires too much additional context to fit in the chat at the table. It's alright. What you already told me is more than sufficient. It really is so much beyond this world. I love to hear the second group stories someday. It's not as though they can't hear what we're saying at the steep party. Pardon, what do I mean? We know, Glorious, we know this tower secret as well as why you locked yourself away here alone all this time. I see. Glorious pauses for a moment and takes a sip from her tea. I am the final glory of the Royal Navy. No matter what happens, I must not fall. As the moment Royal Tower pierced the sky with the slightly clouds that covered the Royal Islands for hundreds of years, cleared for the first time. It was though the earth, the hills, the rivers, everything that remained in this land had some sort of connection to the Rose Tower. The Rose Tower existed on the Royal Island, the Royal Island also existed inside the Rose Tower. As for Glorious, she turned into specks of light and disappeared in the thin air as soon as the tower light shone. Glorious is gone. We knew this was coming. Don't worry about her, she just retreated inside the tower to fulfill her duty imposed on her. We better prepare ourselves. Comes the better starting. Speaking is hard. Once the tower begins to shine for the first time, I've already taken a place in the command center built by compiler. The monitor shows excessive breadth of information on Allied forces. More than 200 production lines, 172 Type 2 mass-produced fleets. Thanks to the help of Glorious, she has not fully utilized the facilities under her control, but she has kept them maintained. With the constant data compound, over the past 100 years I've discovered the resource reserves and backup plans created by this world's compiler and emitter. Within 6 hours you can start at least 100 production lines and perform, and home at least 70 Type 2 mass-produced mixed fleets. In the past few hours she would have us ready to go to war. It all looks like ruins to me, but you see, resourcing is all. The NTX is incredibly efficient in utilizing resources. By the way, can you only produce Type 2 models can create flying fleets? Unfortunately, I do not have the council permission to do so. Okay, what's the most powerful model available to you? Standard Type 5. I thought 4 was the last one. Do they have Type 5 now? High model numbers require more complex production process, increasing both resource and time costs. Type 3 will suffice for experiments and test sites. Type 4 is only for reserve use, and Type 5 is only for extreme situations caused by factors beyond the experiments. Do not be beset by current data. The only reason we can mobilize so many forces in such a time is that we are consuming existing reserves. Without support from mainframe, sustained production is unlikely. The battlefield micromanagement will be limited. That is why I chose Type 2 as single cannon fodder. Predator 0 numbers. Yeah, I like that plan. Our ultimate goal is buying time. That doesn't mean that we cannot afford to focus all our forces on the Rose Tower. We have multiple combat sectors available to us and the enemy has no unified control structure. That means intercepting them in the outside sector is the ideal strategy, using space to buy more time. The person who most familiar with the battlefield glorious will take charge. Put Lion's team in charge of 4 sectors. They'll use mass capability to make sure to make strategic wins. The 5th sector is vast enough to have Queen's Light to exploit, so I send Elizabeth Smith as their team. Permissions this command center can be opened to you as well. We will remain here and command the battlefield until it is time to retreat to the Rose Tower. Do you object? Speaking is really hard.
みんなを守ってみせる。
Battle continues from dawn to dusk, later the night, and to the following dawn. Our allies take every measure to whittle away the dimensional forces, but they lose breathing room by the hour. After a night of combat, almost all of our enemies have changed the priority to attacking the Rose Tower. Corpses have stopped piling up around the base of the full moon, but they are starting to pile up in the sectors neighboring the Rose Tower, to the extent that baby candidates could start appearing anytime soon. Sunrise is coming lines, and Elizabeth Meta team are treated to the 1st sector to build a new defensive line. Capias has the better resources there. Is Dean Lai planned to retreat alongside her as planned? However, something happened, and it's really bad. The command center monitor, I witnessed a perfect mimic entities from extra-dimensional corpses. They look like aliens from the Alien. White biomass and black metal melt together into a super mixture that melts with the earth to create the chaotic ocean. But then countless individuals made of reconstructed corpses begin to wriggle and writhe. Even more unformed creatures clamber above, below, and between the midst of the chaos. They aren't like the mimic entities I've seen before, but what makes them categorically different? Does it mean there are class 1, 3, and 4 mimics as well? What are the criteria for clarifications? Shush, you won't get anything out of me if you keep peppering me with questions. All that matters is that we run. We're dead meat if those things touch us. Unfortunately, the horde of mimic entities spawn close to the command center. That's what we get for trying to use geography to our advantage. We're likely to be surrounded if we stay here. Let's hurry back to the Rose Tower. Do you know why it's called class 2 mimic entities? You're really fixated on that, aren't you? But I don't know either. Neither do I. We distinguish between mimic entity and mimic beast by size, and we give them levels according to the combat capabilities. However, I've never heard of such a short categorization. Time to run. Okay, time to run. There is no vector zone in the sky as of yet, so may avail ourselves of aerial support. Sending base to this raccoon down.
みんなを守ってみせる。みんなを守ってみせる。
New entities haven't appeared on our escape route, so there is no need to leave river in the tower. Type you must produce a protect area. Is no match for unique entities, but they are effective enough as obstacles. And now the repulse quickly dispatch the extra-dimensional head of us as well as making our retreat a smooth one. Like exotic mimic entities from the whatever. They become vector zones when destroyed, following them to spawn anew. But as time extra dimensions are mixed along with one of the things spewing out of the vector zones. Why? Extra dimensions are much weaker than mimic entities. Their corpses don't convert to mimics. Doesn't that just make the vector zones less effective? Commander, hear me. Found our coordinates. Attrition a trap. Our communications be sabotage. I can't hear her well. Listen. Can't save you this time. Watching you. Follow your heart. You want to save them, can't, then run. No matter what, I'm by your... Good work, Commander. Leave the sector to us now. Vote and pass through the barrier. Please proceed to the Rose Tower. As soon as we approach the Rose Tower defensive line, at the first combat sector, I spot the Queen's light soaring through the sky. Our strategic retreat has gone well so far. From here on out, this operation isn't a bid for time, it's a life or death siege. There's still room for retreat behind the defensive light. It can be brought all the way to the tower if need be. But after that we're cornered. Chariot, you have to come here soon. Talking is becoming really hard. The new entities were indeed far more powerful than the extra dimensionals. In just 3 hours of fighting, our defensive line has been pierced in several places. Glorious chose to abandon all outside fronts in favor of focusing on our firepower. Apart from the ever-mobile Queen's Light and the compiler's ability to summon Siren mass-produce fleet from our positions, the Rose Tower barrier was all we had left. First battle rage outside the barrier, we could hear enormous explosions from even inside the tower. It was then that Elizabeth summoned me to a chamber of the tower. Cerebral, the situation is only worsening. It's a last line of defense in a precarious state. There's no sight of chariot coming to save us. It's time we seriously consider the final retreat. Should we use the Queen Light and came a lot stealth mode. We should be able to evacuate everyone safely. We can take Lion's party and Glorious alike. Whatever the case, our decision must be swift. Escape will become much more difficult when the barrier breaks. As it stands, we can last 6 more hours, maybe even longer. The methods aren't made up to be receiving end of siege. The compiler isn't much help under these circumstances. Now, the longer we fight, the more of a risk we're taking. We've done everything we can. Relying on the NTX will only get us so far. Besides, they only care about their own needs. They don't care what sacrifice it takes as long as they've killed the X.com in the end. Whether it be us, you, or their own selves. They're simple killing machines to stop at nothing in the name of salvation. I understand that you made a contact with the ants. So some channels unknown to me, so maybe you consider your relationship as a good one. But think about it. What if everything you've been through is just another part of their plan? Further, how can we be certain that they haven't discarded their plan entirely? Our world and Lion's world are safe. The meta version of me destroyed the buds, the two worlds. You are particularly concerned over too. Of course, it's cool to see me abandon the last 400 worlds. I'm not saying I want to, but we must face reality. Just surviving and protecting the people we love is already too much for us to handle. If we die for nothing today, what will they do? The world is constantly in danger, be it in the hands of Sirens or the X.com, or the very people of that world, or some other thing we've never faced before. Things happen in places we can see and in places we can't. We're no gods, we're no messiahs. That may be, but even if we can't change the results, we can at least make the difference. We can't turn the blind eye to the tragedies because it's going to happen either way. We've decided that the Sirens' methods are wrong, and because of that, we walk a different path. To be indifferent is to be the same as them. You're right, that's why I continue to search for allies. And that's why you've saved the other test sites. It has to be done one step at a time. We can't expect to fix everything in one fell swoop. If you must, then you may regret today's losses, curse your own formlessness, and swear that you will never let it happen again. But right here, right now, impossible means impossible. As I recall, we are ready to retreat if necessary. Yes, you're right. But I'm afraid I need to wait. I had a feeling you'd say that. Either you or Meta put you up to this. Half and half. You get 6 hours and not a minute longer. 6 hours was the time. Comes by living no matter what. That's all I need. I'm going back to the battlefield. I hear someone is less willing to wait. They plan to live ahead of us. Not to name any names, but they're the kind of girls who don't fall before my royal authority. You'd better think to follow. You better think of how to count them. Immediately after this departure, line rushes over to me. I hate the feeling. Commander has been looking for you. We've been fighting for a long time. Is this arbiter just coming or not? Chance will come, I assure you. I can't just tell you when. You said that last time. A fight has gone for 2 straight days. Everyone is at their limit. Those weak entities DX.com are foes. You have to learn to fight sooner or later. I understand that it's difficult, but consider the necessary experience for your future survival. Agree. The seniors, I can't do anything but the experience. With that experience, if we die in this hole, who's going to tell the people back home what we learned here? Is it just me, or does it seem like she isn't quite demanding to leave any early? I still have many more great exploits to accomplish. I won't lay down my life or those of my shipbuilders for pointed venture. I get it. Good news, Elizabeth and I have decided we're treating in 6 hours. Sorry, I didn't lead with that. But share it comes or not, we have other ways to share information on the Cyrus and arbiters. Even putting compilers at Miss D and her well are inextricably tied to the arbiters. 6 hours. Very well. Then I'm going back to the basic tit. Yes, kick tit. Whatever. If Chert isn't here in 6 hours, then we have to abandon the world. The bus raging Turum exists and the Sardinia League have already been destroyed. If we can evacuate everyone, including Glorious Meta, then this mission could be considered a success, but she's been fighting for this world all of her lonesome for so long. Will she willingly live? I need to discuss. Glorious hasn't taken a foot out of the water ever since the Rose Tower switched to interception mode. However, a passage is open for carrier aircraft connected to the Rose Tower and the outside, allowing her to dispatch her air wings without issue. Hello, Commander. Are you here to discuss the retreat? You knew about it. Miss Elizabeth and Miss Lyon, each went to you and now you're come to me. I assume that's why you're here. I hear that the science gives serial number to the test site and you and your group are from test site beta, correct? Correct. What kind of world is it? That's a pretty vague question. If you ask me, it's a beautiful field with life, hope and endless possibilities. A world that overcame the fate imposed on it. A beautiful field filled with many lovely things. That's a wonderful. It must be even better with someone as great as the Miss Elizabeth around. Do you happen to know the serial number of this world? Says the serial number. Test site, I see. This too. Once a beautiful with life, hope and endless possibility. Commander, you did not give up on your home, neither will I give up on mine. I'm sure some of them have given up on their worlds, but others are looking for a new place to call home. I respect the decision and wish them the best. I, however, cannot and will not give up. In truth, you don't want to give up on this world as well. If you did, you wouldn't have persuaded the others to keep fighting as long as they can. Even so, things are what they are, nothing will change, even if we give it all. That's your reasoning, so you reluctantly agreed to retreat. The logical reason I arrived at by considering circumstances. I just cannot wager all the lies on this. Logical as logic is not what has kept this tower standing for 100 years. You are wrong, you've not yet seen the true limit of the Rose Tower. This does not scratch the surface of our strength. This noble girl has moved to the center of the hall, sword in hand. I've seen the sword before, it was in Elizabeth Rose's correction. Is that sword of mercy? Of the final glory of the Royal Navy, I shall not let it shine radiantly. Soul rested in the tower, prisoners captive within it, awaken for the final battle, glorious battle. Find a shield of hope began to expand outward infinitely. Amid countless rooms, countless fragments of light glitter, I see the grand ambition that Elizabeth had. When the war began, built a great tower, a tower capable of protecting all the royal lands, and its name will be the Rose Tower. This is the moment the tower was born. As the watchers get violence, the land beneath the tower becomes a resting place for heroes. We shall keep fighting until we achieve flawless victory or a last drop of blood spills. Rest in peace, Lady Hood. This is Hood's funeral. One funeral after another is held until eventually the mourners themselves end up in the grave. A suffocating lodges hands in the land between the Rose Tower. I'm the only one left. I must not die before I carry out my duty. I simply must not die. I am glorious, the bearer of the Royal Navy's glory. As long as I breathe, its glory remains intact. Yes, I understand now. Heed me, Rose Tower, I will be your protector. Together we'll protect the Royal Islands. Glorious is the tower and the tower is her. Lights and shadow gather in endlessly expanded space. There are faces in them, some familiar and some unknown, some bearing with life and others devoid of it. They glow and sway away almost like kindled flames blowing in the wind, yet just barely staying lit. Each time the light or shadow appears, the light given off by the tower grows even brighter. Its body becomes radiant, and yet it begins emitting light with a destructive power to its surroundings. The new candies, along with the vector zone, are reduced to dust in the light. For a while, the area around the Rose Tower becomes a silent no man's land. Far away, the sea begins to billow in a furious rising tide widens to the Royal Lands and coastlines. Long-seen sunken wreckages of mass-produced ships of the Royal Navy and its allies rise to the surface. Those still with functional propellers charge desperately towards the enemy, while those with working cannons bombard them instead. Lastly, the ones with the only power left martyrize themselves in an explosion. Even as the ones reduced to nothing but wrecks ride the waves towards land, battering any enemy they collide with. The carcasses of extremely measureless and even the mimics vector zones are all destroyed and diluted by the impacts of the rising tide. While I can't explain it, I just know that this is the milk cradled through the sheer faith of the Royal Navy. I have no voice. A miracle of the power of swords. It comes at a cost. With each attack from the Rose Tower, more lights and shadows vanish. The unique entities will one day revive in this balanced radiant tides and feast on these wreckages, making themselves even stronger. In this moment, though, Azur forces are finally fallen into disadvantage. Talking is hard. When the lights and shadows appeared, my field of view expanded to a bird's eye view into the whole battlefield in an instant. Then the moment I was brought back to the war room. The door was closed, yet I already knew what kind of miracle had transpired in the other side. Rather than disturb Glorious, I explained what was happening in the Rose Tower to Lane and Elizabeth, then arranged our forces with Compiler and her team. Currently, Elizabeth Meta has taken back the Queen's Light. Compiler vessel has returned to the Rose Tower. We send back the forces, except the silence, mass-produced ships that appear as practically as ever to the glowing Rose Tower. Part of the reason is practical, we can coordinate the fleets around the Rose Tower attacks. The other part is that only one among us, excluding Elizabeth, can deal any significant damage to the mimic entities is the Rose Tower. All we can do now is lick our wounds and wait. Miss Governor, all the units have safely evacuated. We can finally breathe. This battle is beyond our wildest imagination. Do you concur, Trafalgar? Could you have foreseen this happening before your journey? No, I was prepared for a battle of some kind, but only one in the realm of swords and cannons. Instead we were faced with an enemy that was impossible to describe. Yeah. I was also astonished by the Rose Tower and the cohesion of this world's Royal Navy. Who are we by comparison? Sure, the sun always shines upon our realm, but nothing has the strength to challenge us. A water of wave. Khan's realm never setting sun with its constituents all moving in different directions, master of wave comparable to this. With our cohesion gone, how will we stand up against a threat such as we face here in the future? Indeed, we don't even hold a candle to them. I read the 5 Elizabeth gave to me. The reason our end turned out like this is because the science personally made it so. A victory against them and our technological evolution too were all a deliberate part of their plan. You see, when we fought them, we never went under the ice cap of Antarctica. Right now they are no doubt coldly silently observing us somewhere deep in the ocean, planning their next experiment. Meanwhile, our realm is completely oblivious to them, slowly wasting away amidst the false peace. We must do something. Yes, we have to take action. We will cut out the tumor that is the silence in its entirety and truly unite the realm. Then we will prepare for the true enemy that will come one day. I have much work ahead of us. The Rose Tower's attack are gradually weakening and the rising tide is calming down. The time for final decision has come. It seems the final miracle is wrapping up. 6 more hours have passed, then the 6 hour you promised, Commander. The one we're still awaiting still hasn't come. It's time for retreat. That seems to be our only option. Is it possible to take Glorious with us with the way she is now? It would have been possible previously. No, it isn't. She has merged and become one with the concept of the Rose Tower. There's no cutting her loose. Become one with the concept, cut her loose. Hey, how about you, Miss DeVille? Are you serious? It's worth a shot. Even supposing that it's worth, do you really think she'll come along just like that? I want to see if she will. I decided to withdraw and gave up on saving those words I've never seen because I'd done my best and still failed. But Glorious is a different matter. I can't just watch and do nothing while she chooses to die. I haven't done the best in convincing her. That's the thing you cannot. But perhaps the other leads would could, or maybe even... We shall do it ourselves. In the meantime, you should truly figure out how to draw power from the whale. I will. You're welcome. If there is a possibility to save her that we don't wish to see her fall any worse than you do. Now go, we need to prepare. Talking is hard. After planning base with the leader, Meta called me as you. We've been killing time by riding a whale. I didn't know how I was going to draw power from the whale, but I had the leads of abnormal phenomena Miss D and the whale experienced after entering unusual places. It happened both with the Azur event and put the moon just earlier. Luckily, Glorious was also inside the unusual space. I knew something would happen if I brought Mrs. D there. I contacted Elizabeth and Lance separately, told them to prepare to evacuate, then I contacted Compiler as well. Horse beam mechanics had started approaching again, and ever since the Rose Tower offense weakened, Compiler had commanded every newly repaired, mass-produced army to engage them at the front lines. I stressed that she should not block herself up and instead should evacuate with Elizabeth. After that, I took Miss D and brought her to the war room. The door to the war room isn't locked. I simply push it open and end up in an endlessly expanding space again. There are hardly any lights in the shadows left. Most of them have turned a greyish color. Glorious holds to her sword, sitting beside the lavish throne. Mother, spend your time, I was just thinking about calling you. The Rose Tower offensive is nearing your center, suggests that you get ready to retreat. How about your trembling? She just about manages to rise up stand. You and your companions more than performed your duty as allies in the previous battle. I'm honored to have fought by your side until the very last moment. What are you going to do? Please don't make me repeat myself again. As I said before, I cannot leave the Rose Tower. Even if I could, I wouldn't. If the Royal Navy glory is destined to fight the end, then I shall resign myself to that destiny. I've done what I could, I've done everything I could. So now, well, I suppose I'll handle things at the great fireworks show after you're withdrawn, to celebrate the Rose Tower having served its duty and to find cover for your retreat. It's not over, wait a little longer. A little longer. Have you felt anything since you entered this place? No. No. Now that you mention, maybe I do. Let's try with the whale. The whale is just fine. Stop hitting it, you'll break it. What are you trying to do? I'm looking for a way to save you. Commander, really, it's fine. It's my choice to save my fate with this land. I'm okay with it. I'm not, I won't give you up now. I said stop hitting it. But why? I could give you a dozen reasons why, but you'd refute them one by one. You've simply been through too much and swallowed the burden alone. I get it, understand what you're up to. I'll say that I don't care. I can just stand the thought of you choosing to die in front of me when I might still be able to save you. Out of nowhere, the enormous whale appears below me and leaps up. What? A strange amount of time, but it feels like an eternity, yet like an instant. When my mind returns to reality, I find myself back where I just was, except now the entire space around me feels different. What happened? Why can't I feel the Rose Tower's presence anymore? Isn't that a good thing that you can't? The endless space collapses and shrinks to distance. The next thing you know, I'm back in the fancy hall. The queen sits on the throne as far across from me. She gazes down at me with a smile. Majesty. I've witnessed your battle in your society. In fact, not just I, but everyone present here. Why are you here? You made a miracle happen for someone else's sake, so now I've made one happen for you. It's only fair. All of us, from those here to those out there, witnessed your battle. You're only truly powerful, with both superior technology, combat potential. I knew I made the right choice. On behalf of the realm of the very setting sun, I offer my sincere gratitude to you who rushed out to our aid. Give my thanks to the rest, Commander. The queen gives me a playful wink, and her figure starts to fade into transparency. Seems the time is upon me. Gloria still stifles her trembling voice and forces herself to calm down. I wish my report there was a response to our distress call. Our allies brought a fleet to support us. Yes, they certainly did. Proud that you gloriously accomplished your mission with flying colors. I'll now give you a new mission. If witness the brighter future that all of us should have forgotten. As you wish. As we must one ally, take care of our glorious. It's time for me to leave the Rose Tower. It's the monarch's duty to protect their subjects to the very end. Also, me do the last thing for me and help the grand funeral for this Royal Navy. I feel as though leads that made a conscious silence acknowledges in the far off distance. The skin becomes vividly opaque again, the light around us that was in the blink of extinguishing brightens up again. I don't have the luxury of staying to watch whatever will come next. Just as she has her duties as the queen, I have my duties as the commander.
at least bringing everyone home safely. Talking is hard. I left the Rose Tower with Lois and Miss D to find that the remaining shipbuilders were all ready for departure. Isabella sat at the train's cabin waiting to go. Compiler was aboard, positioning a force to cover a retreat. Finally, by some miracle, Lion has crammed the entire basket inside the rearmost train car. The very moment that the tower barrier opened, the wind's light lifted up to the air and took off. It was at least time to bid farewell to this world. As we rise in altitude, we slowly start to see the full picture through the train's windows. Flames of war burning everywhere, vast swaths of land was destroyed, and the tragic cherry on top of the Rose Tower died in bloody red. It mustered its final morsel of strength from its soul to set everything on fire, going out in a literal blaze of glory. I've been reading this in this voice for past 3 hours. God help me. Just like Rose in full bloom, all along you designed the tower with the day in mind. It's truly beautiful, Your Majesty. First the tower crumbles, then the rest of the world meets its demise. After that, the same befalls the birth of the new moon. I did everything I could, including everyone who could be, and I still fell at the end. Suddenly a buzzing sound. Strange buzzing sound that echoed to the air and land. All vibrations and even the Queen of Light engine stopped for a moment. An oddly familiar feeling came over me, a brace for the worst, anticipating that the star beast would finally come out of hiding. Is that what happened next was so shocking that it blew away all my misgivings. This is Arbiter Chariot 7 will now take over the post-factum cleanup of this test site. If where you are, I'm here to help. In the blink of an eye, countless flying platforms appeared out of thin air. The range inside the shape, one of the smallest looking at 7 meters and the largest stretching over kilometers. Swarms of combat mechs poured out from like rain, amassing on the surface and advancing like stream of steel. War has begun. The platforms fired in pinpoint valley and easily pulverized the enemy entities and beasts, sending them back to the vector zone. The vector zone is in turn by dividing into tiny ribbons by the storm of steel rushing across the surface. St. Chariot's secret weapon descended upon the Mecha Arbiter. It was equipped with specialized weapons specifically for dealing with vector zones. A discharge from these weapons rendered the numerous shredder vector zones into nothing but harmless dust. Chariot's army set their sights on the next target, the buds of the full moon. When after this the buds are cleaved into booming explosions resound without the pause. And this is what it looks like when an arbiter leads an ant army into battle. So much power, overwhelmingly so, the kind of power that would break any foe spirit. This battle that was so bleak for us turned around in the instant with the chariot's arrival. She crossed this amorphous enemy like there were bugs under her boots. It makes all out hard-fought battles before seem like a farce. No, that's not true. They have their own fighting and we have ours. It's thanks to glorious 100-year struggle that we got an opportunity to come to this world's support. In the same vein, our desperate defense for the past few days gave and time to arrive with army. It's all connected. This wouldn't have come to be if a single part of this were missing. We're lucky the chariot got here on time. This world may be doomed to destruction, but at least its invaders will fall with it. and all those worlds connected by the buds are saved now. I was right about one thing about ants. As long as X.com exists, Chariot will divert all her resources toward dealing with them. The Rose Tower and the Queen's Light weren't even on her target list. Now, after initial shock of this development, the air aboard the train is regaining its calm. Unbelievable, that was Ant and their army. Do you think we could land and try ally with them? Please be sensible, Miss Governor, we haven't even pressed compiler to your side yet. Borders on a miracle that she's letting us go. Approaching her would be beyond foolhardy. Got to agree. Same, she'll pump us full of lead if we come close, even if we don't act hostile. Let's not poke the bear. I just thought it was worth considering. Another subject, Glorious, the land I preside over just so happens to be in need of an aircraft carrier. I'd like to formally invite you to join the fleet and oversee an out with me. What do you say? That's the most gracious offer of you, but I'm afraid I must decline. I've already decided I will accompany the commander that says test site better. I'm not joking, being polite with this offer, I'm serious. Would you at least take it seriously? Very well, I truly and seriously appreciate the kind gesture. That's enough tomfoolery, we aren't out of the woods yet. We've arrived at our destination. Get your ship and prepare to disembark. You can lounge around when you get home. We're already there. Well, thank you for giving us a ride. In that case, I bid you farewell. With Lady Elizabeth and you, Commander. If we ever get a chance, I'd love to have you as guests in my domain. I look forward to the day that we'll meet again, our trusted allies. Remember, control the flow information about X.com. And remember, goodbye. I hope we should meet again. After seeing Lion's team of train stars heading towards the well-concealed came a lot. These days have been fraught with rage and confusion. We were often forced to fight for our lives. It has yielded good things. However, Elizabeth solidified an alliance. We rescued Glorious, we saved hundreds upon hundreds of worlds from destruction, and while bringing everyone home in one piece. I can now we certainly say that this mission has been a great success. My throat. Cough cough hack. Blood dye is lavishly decorated cigarette and seeps into the carpet. Are you okay? When you get so badly wounded, stay with us. I don't know who to call if something happens to you. It's fine, I will not die, not today. We simply made a major error this time, we need to rest. We need quiet rest. Give what you're witnessing a secret from everyone. Nation leader can command this is important, do you understand? Yes, I understand. Unknown location. This beta is as unpredictable as ever. There are too many forces that work to these things that can be grasped. But they are a tangled mess, which is almost convenient. For now, I need to stay calm and find a place to lay low. After that, it might be just fine to get in contact with Yamato. Doesn't matter, the Rose Tower and everything in a 7-kilometer radius around it has been obliterated. However, to the observing chariot, the impact felt like a little more like a soft breeze. With a fantastic local closed circuit, it's a pity everything. Not here either. Death, I've been looking for you all over, where are you? Then but the searching is already gone. Jeez. You solved all of her problems for her. Why would she stay? But it's just meant to leave without saying goodbye, don't you think? This has her reasons. Enough complaining, I'll give you the opportunity to leave too. What does that mean? Lovers will come and clean things up before long after you're gone here. Go to these corners. Moon has important work that needs support. Why do I have to do it? What about Hermit Little Trio? They will be joining you before long. Hermit, Strength, Temperance, Moon and me. Is there anyone else I should know about? Yes, actually. Does it need to be this many of us? Is this a direct order from Zero? The transboundary experiment will be entering stage 3. Right. My throat. Guided by light of whatever, the music that safely returned to Western lands touched down by friendly waters. Now missing Nile River Delta. There it tastes fresher than ever. The sense great voyage fraught with danger. This one is sure to go into history books. It feels nice. The game just jump scared me. We escaped death and by centimeter yet again. Woo, go us. I'm exhausted, I don't think I'll feel right until I sleep for a week or so. We're receiving a deluge of congratulatory telegrams. They show no signs of letting up. People notice us fast. Oh, for a lot of them I didn't think I'd come home in one piece. I replied to these one, to the ones from the people I know, take those for me, and give perfunctory responses to the others. One more thing, bring me the one of the Governor General Valiant personally, if you would. Since Terra Australis and the Solomon Islands apparently aren't enough for her, she's pursuing a third dominion of Antarctica. I must say, that came as a real surprise to me. I'd be remiss if I didn't get one over on her. This is a perfect opportunity to pick out personnel for the fight for Antarctica. In front of the newly completed base, Friedrich Grosse discussed plans for the future with the Takao Meta. This abandoned test site is still well hidden. But as a result of the program, we're left with limited resources. I say we should try taking a rest site in the early stages of the experimentation next. We will need more bases beyond this one, be it for the moment of personnel, resources, or for users bait. However, we have assets yet to be accounted for, and members yet to be collected. We must remain cautious and inconspicuous. Theory of Russia still not the test set if you please, but if you mean to take action, then do so discreetly. Right, I guess she is going to be a boarding place for a while. I chose this slip because it is conspicuous. Boarding is ideal for our purposes. We're here for greater things than simply building a beautiful new home, as you may recall. Yes, the greenery is nice. If that's all we have to discuss, I'm heading out. Have you heard anything from Enterprise and Segus? No, they must still be following the lead they got from that signal. This leader often goes so long without contact, anxiety inducing. You haven't been here for long. We should get used to it. Beep. That's rare, what you should say. Says Helena, you know, that Helena wants to talk to us. No thanks. No matter who she is, she is now. She doesn't share our views, we have nothing to discuss. Should I have you pass that out? No, I admit I'm curious. What is it going to be? Tell her accept. If only to see her, to see what she has to say. Might I suggest I put more thought into this answer? By saying that we have a contact with Enterprise, so we can hear her opinion. Is that what you think? I would be so sure. It's not good to us, especially when your information is so clear you're lacking. To change the ashes, we must free ourselves from others' manipulation. For now, let's see. There must be a reason for this. Maybe I'll hear the news from the other sources along the way. Also, let me be clear, it isn't that I don't want to talk to her. It's just that I want to hear the price opinion before making a decision. And the last one, finally. Voice is gone. Are you satisfied? I enjoyed the suspense, thrills, and unexpected plot twists. Flashy battles were a nice touch. 82 points, not bad. Going so far as activating the size was your way of solving Moon's problem, wasn't it? It was a prerequisite to progress the experiment to stage 3. Does that pique your interest? It does not. What should your experiments have to do with me? Especially another transboundary experiment. I already know my feelings about that. Zero from latency spirit based on their interpretation of master arbiter wishes. Oh, it's an interpretation, pretty weird and meaningless. Strange how the tower has no records of that. I admit that you would know the tower better than I, but the matter is settled, and I have no inclination to relitigate it with you. Likewise, wait, something is off. Now is not the time for chit chat. That's better. Out of deference to your competent script writing and with the knowledge that you leave me alone while we're busy, I'll help you. I'll leave space for you to place your special class and rest assured that nobody will monitor it save for myself. You know the tower of yours has been a thorn in my side. And whose fault is that? Not mine. Quarrel with whoever troubling you, not me. You're lucky I haven't pressed you to compensate for the repairs. If I compensate you with resources, will you stop the operation for a time? They got in my way when I was trying to deal with other pets. I can see we won't reach an agreement. Just gonna take a joke. I won't take the part of the experiment, but I never said I wouldn't enjoy the show, silly. Now I have two to watch. It's weird that nobody noticed this little birdie flying in. Don't worry, I'll never tell. Exchange that aid me now. It's done. My nonsense meter is broken. Azur Lane. Great story though.